What up?
What's up?
How you doing, bud?
Wow, how you doing today?
I'm good, dude. Everything's good, man. Dog was a little sick last night, so kind of had a late night, and
Yeah,
he's fine now. But
nice. How's the tattoo healing?
it's healing good, man. I like overanalyzed the hell out of it the night
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
On the chart, it was like double red.
yeah.
Where
Is it the ditch right there? Is that where you got it, or like right above it?
above
Okay.
it. So it wasn't that bad, but like
Yeah,
I overanalyzed the hell out of it.
yeah. It's just it's such a the pain right there is not too bad. It for me it was just more so of like keeping it clean because like you have to sit on toilets to go to the bathroom. So like that
Right.
part, like when I first got my one of my first tattoos that I got right there
Yeah.
for like a month, I was cleaning the toilet seat every time before I sat down. And would like get like some like bleach or whatever and scrub it down so that I was fine. Even though I still had like Tegaderm on it, I was just like to the max, like trying to make sure that it was okay.
I'm gonna let in our guest. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
You know who it is?
I'm not too sure.
Oh, cool, man. That's interesting.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Sick. That's so good.
I know. We thought you'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Luke?
The voice.
Love it.
He's got to unmute his microphone and then he's ready to go. Look at
Yeah.
that back. Look at that artwork in the back.
Oh, it's funny because he's got a bunch of prints here and like we've been bringing them down. And so like we'll sort through them and look through it. And he's just got the coolest rad stuff. It's
That's
insane.
awesome. That's awesome. Welcome everyone to the Filthy Animals podcast. Today on the show, we have a very special episode. I'm very excited. I'm very grateful and lucky to have. We have two gentlemen on the show, two violent gentlemen. First I have Hunter Talbert. Hunter is the warehouse manager at Violent Gentleman. He is a cinephile. He's a filmmaker, and he also helped me make my first feature film, Filthy Animals. How are you, Hunter?
Doing well, doing well. I'm stoked to be able to be here and be with you guys, talk about this movie. And again, I can never tell you how much I appreciate you allowing me to be there because it was a great experience to see a real kind of like live set. Everything that I've done is kind of me, my brother, and then a buddy. So to have like an actual crew is really rad to see how you guys operate.
Thank you, man. And we tried. We swung hard, man. We did our best. And then thank you for coming back to the show, returning guest.
Of course.
First time to the show, we have Luke Wessman. Luke is a Renaissance man. He's a true artist. He is my tattoo artist. He is a painter. He is a hustler. He has a great company called Lost Art of the Gentleman for you men out there that need a tip with your ladies. Luke, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. And hello, Hunter. Always good to see you too, buddy.
Yeah, great to see you, Luke.
And I just want to say I'm honored to be here with two real film buffs because I am a film lover, but I don't know it on the level you guys do. So bear with me as we break down this exciting film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luke does some classy things when it comes to when movie theaters are open. You would do a good job of with your fiance and their family, kind of getting them together for a movie, correct?
So my girl's mom loves movies as much as I do and loves going to the movies weekly. So we would go every Tuesday night, and my girlfriend would opt out sometimes because she's not a big movie buff like I am. I'll see anything,
Cool.
good or bad. I'll finish it. I'll see it through. And then my girl's mom's like that too. So Tuesday nights, I would go with a group of probably 6 ladies.
I love it.
My girlfriend, well, my fiance's mom and her friends.
Yeah.
It would be like aunts and cousins and all this thing, and I would just kind of dive in because I love movies and I like to enjoy them with people. As much as I do not mind going to the movie theater by myself or in the past, it was nice to go with that really unique crew.
Yeah. That's quite the image. If I didn't know you, Luke, and I saw that, I would make a narrative in my head immediately. Luke also is one of our stars in the film Filthy Animals as Jack Valentine. How was your experience, Luke, with that film?
So, I mean, secretly loved the opportunity to have a speaking role with lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I obsessed over the lines forever because my memory is shot and I don't know how actors do it. It gives me a greater appreciation for actors. So what did I have? I don't know how many lines I had. I mean, it wasn't that many. It was like 2 pages of back and forth dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's considered a lot or not, but for me, it felt like a lot. So.
I feel like for first time, that's a decent amount, you know?
And I just had such a wonderful experience, man. And you know, James, you and your staff, I mean, everyone was so supportive and such great energy that it was really like a safe haven for kind of like learning as we go learning as I go on the fly.
Yeah.
Man, I am just so thrilled and proud to be in the film, and I cannot wait to see it.
It was that was a really big day for me. It was the ending of a couple weeks shooting. It was our last day before we had a big break, and getting to film it where we filmed was very personal for me, and it was pretty emotional at the end of the day where Hunter, you were taking care of everyone, and the following shoots, every crew member would show up on set wearing Violent Gentleman shit, and
yeah, I love that.
We have all shapes, all sizes in our cast and crew, and so we have different ethnicities, and just to see that kind of come together as that bridge, it was really emotional for me. It was really cool. It was like it's really unique when you could bring a lot of different people together that usually wouldn't come together for something, and I just think it says a lot about personalities and culture that we have a lot more in common than we think, you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like that was one of my favorite things about working with Violent Gentlemen is that you're not really in a club, but you feel like you're in a club because when you go out and you see somebody else, you know, wearing our brand, it's like, oh, like, you know about it, like let's talk, and the connection becomes almost instant where, you know, you become friends just based off that, and it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah. Very, very flattering to have you guys on the show today. Before we jump into the film that we're talking about, I just kind of like to ask this question. What do you guys need to see in a movie to get excited about it? What do you need to see where you'll prioritize it, where you want to see it immediately? And what gets you excited about films?
Hunter, you want to go first?
Yeah. For me, at least, it's can a movie really suck me in and make me feel like I'm part of what's going on? Does it make me can I put myself into that incident and those scenarios of what's happening? Because it makes it more feel like real life. The movie we're talking about today is a little different because superhero movies are kind of not on that level because it's, you know, it's something that's a little far-fetched to be able to like want to put yourself into. But when any kind of like regular movie just has that aspect of it, I can't not watch or not want to watch because it kind of takes me back to like the beginning of when I first started watching movies where I was just in my own different world and I love being in that world. And that's why I want to make movies today, you know?
It's awesome.
Sick.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing the voice of the more average consumer. I will want to see a movie if it has a great cast, you know, some actor that I've identified with in the past and loved their work. And a director that I love, which me not really knowing a lot about directors. I mean, when I listen to you guys talk about directors, you guys know a lot of different voices that each of them have. I know a few that I like, you know, like Guy Ritchie films. They stand out to me. I like them. I like, you know, him behind them. Obviously, Quentin Tarantino. I mean, those directors that obviously come with something unique. Yeah. So if they're directing it, somebody that I know in my little, you know, knowledge bubble, I'll be more apt to see it. But you know, I think as a movie lover, you want to feel emotion. You know, you want to feel joy, suspense. You know, and so if you see that coming from the movie, like a trailer, then that's gonna pull me in. You know, whether it looks super funny or, oh man, it looks kind of like scary or suspenseful, or, you know, and then those movies become like, you pull them when you want to feel those different emotions. Like, I just want to feel joy. I'm gonna watch a Will Ferrell movie or something. Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons, and I don't need very big reasons to go. I'll go see anything almost.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I love that too. Just because there's so many different types of movies that are being made today, it's great to be able to just kind of venture out and just, you know, find something that you might have not thought that you would have liked, but you end up loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always say this quote, and I think you can kind of tie it into the way you enjoy a film, is like sometimes you need the music and sometimes you need the lyrics. A superhero movie is the music, right? Like you don't go for amazing dialogue and Oscar-winning acting. You go for like this, entertainment. And so that varies so much from film to film.
Yeah. Just going, both you guys, great answers. And just going back to Luke's answer, if anyone spent time around Luke or knows Luke, when you're hanging around him, you do kind of feel like you're in a Guy Ritchie film. Get that vibe a little bit. King of Cool and King of PMA. I actually like to ask this near the end, but just in case I forget, I do want to ask. What are tips to someone that's lacking in PMA? I'm just curious what you guys would advise for them.
One, I would say just try to be around somebody that has it.
Yeah.
And try to get some of that rub off. It's just like you are what you eat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other is just kind of find ways to remind yourself to try to have it. Like I have a tattoo on my hand, and it sometimes actually works as a nice reminder. Like, let me think about this problem I have or feeling I have in a positive light. It isn't something that you always have, but it's just something you can always work at. And in turn, you get, the benefits of attracting more positive people and more positive outcomes in your daily life.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think we take a lot of things for granted in our day-to-day lives that, kind of takes away from that thought process. And there are a lot of things also like distracting you and kind of straying you away. But just as Luke said, like if you have a good friend group and kind of have that level head, it makes things a lot easier for whenever you do have those days where, you feel down, your group can pick you up and remind you like, hey, like you're a badass and like you can continue to be a badass. You just have to have that mindset,
Very cool. Very cool. I like this one quote I heard from you once, Luke. It's like you're either liking or you're lurking or something like that.
Yeah, sounds like a social media quote, right?
Yeah. I think it summarizes that up kind of cool in a way where it's like you're either being kind of negative or nasty, bottling something up, or you're giving out positive energy, And for those that don't know, PMA is positive mental attitude. Cool. And then before we start, what are some of your guys's, I know we named our favorite filmmakers. What are some of your guys' favorite films? I know Luke, a while ago, you recommended for me an awesome double feature of Belly and Patty Cakes.
Yeah.
That was good, man.
Yeah, those are both fun.
Hunter, have you seen those?
I don't think I've ever seen that. Either of them. Belly or Patty.
Oh, man. Belly, dude, with Nas and DMX. It's one of the best, kind of like black gangster drug dealer movies. Incredible. Hype Williams directed it. The opening scene is like one of my favorite scenes in a movie, just walking into a club with the perfect soundtrack and everybody's glowing in like a black light. It's worth watching, man. It's artistically shot in like a really interesting color tone. A lot of black and white and a great movie, dude. Belly, definitely put it on your list.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna find that for sure. Watch it.
And a really great director's commentary for the DVD Belly also.
I love that.
Oh, nice. I will say that one of my all-time favorite movies is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh, some more guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just watched it a million times. I love the dialogue. I put it on a lot when I'm working on paintings and stuff because it's such a fun dialogue.
Yeah.
Just all the Cockney or the English slang and it's just rad. And it's caught me, and I've loved that movie for as long as I've known about it.
Yeah. What about you, Hunter? What are some of your favorite movies, favorite films?
Besides the ones that we had talked about on the last show, I'm actually, one of my favorite movies from when I was a little kid is this movie called Heavyweights. It's with Ben and Jerry Stiller, and it's funny because I actually got to meet the lead, Aaron Schwartz, because we at VG we did like a Mighty Ducks showing, and him and Goldberg ended up coming out to like watch the show. And it's funny because I could not recognize him whatsoever because in the movie, he's a little fat kid, and now as an adult, he's very slim and fit. And so like when somebody pointed out to me that was him, I was absolutely starstruck, and I couldn't say anything to him, and it took Carl, Hammer's wife, to like go up to him and be like, hey, this guy really loves you, like can you like go say hi? And he walked up to me, and I like almost didn't even have anything to say to him. I basically told him I loved him and that he like helped me get through my fat childhood, because watching that movie just made me feel that I was in such a community of other people that were like me, and that like you know, if they could do things together and, you know, have a family like that, then, you know, I could have the same thing. And then also it's just so funny. Like, I love Jerry Stiller. And so like his like beginning sequence where he's talking to the camp and telling them like, oh, like we've gone bankrupt. Like, and when he comes back and he says, don't let anybody sign your checks. It's one of like my funniest moments watching. He plays a perfect role. I mean, I'm also a huge Seinfeld fan too. So being able to see him in that, you know, the two was beautiful. So, I mean, as far as like, cause I love all sorts of movies. So like that one was a really good one that really kind of like helped me through childhood and was allowed me to relate to other people.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. When Shun was living with us during filming our Japanese foreign exchange student, Ryan Brown was also living with us, and we would always like in between filming days would try to figure out what films has Shun hasn't seen yet. Mm-hmm. And when Heavyweights came up, we were like, that's what we're watching tonight. And yeah, it's a great one, man. You know, I'm feeling skinny Tony, all that.
Yeah, there's so many good just like one-liners in there, and it's like me and my family just quote it all day, and it's funny. Like I would watch it almost every day, like going to bed, and like my sister would sleep in my bed every now and then. So like it got to a point where like she would quote it as well too, where like before like a scene happened, she could like drop a line in there because she knew what they were gonna say because she's seen it so many times with me, and it's just great to be able to share that with her as well too.
Love it. Thank you, gentlemen. We are here today to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to give a little history on the film real quick before we get into it. What is your guys' experience with superhero films? Do you guys usually like them? And kind of growing up or over the past couple of years, what is your favorite superhero film or superhero, you know?
You want to go first, Luke?
Okay, sure. So I love superhero films. I've loved them since I was a kid. I mean, just the idea of being able to like see all these people with superpowers and to imagine yourself having one or you know, becoming a superhero, and it's just a fun part of imagination. And I think since you're a kid, you know, it's just a beautiful thing. So I've loved superhero films since then. I haven't dug deep and like I haven't been like super knowledgeable on like the films, DC versus Marvel, this and that. I did get a little burnout on a lot of big budget superhero movies because they all started to feel really redundant for a long time. A lot of action, a lot of flying and shooting, and there was just like a lack of substance, but great visual. And then movies like Daredevil, and then some of the Marvel films, they really kind of like wrote their characters in a way you could kind of like, I don't know, just see them more in their human qualities as much as their superhero qualities, you know, like, I mean, Endgame, when, you know, the superheroes are crying for their lost, you know, the people that they lost, like, I don't know, there was just like this human element, and the way they joked, like Iron Man, like comedy in Iron Man was so like rich. It brought me really back to loving superhero movies again, and appreciating them more, because I did kind of like fall off a little bit with just the overwhelming action CGI aspect, which, you know, as technology advanced, there became a lot more ways to make stuff look cool. But I was getting lost in that for a few years, but I'm back.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Superhero movies, I mean, like you said, the visual aspect you get of them is so outstanding because it's just so beyond normal films that you kind of just blows you away at first. I feel like I've always been more so of like a Batman fan, just because there isn't very much kind of visual things with him. Batman's more of a thinker, and, you know, can't outpower his villains. He has to outthink them and outmaneuver them. And, you know, obviously he's got his weapons and all that stuff, but especially like Tim Burton's Batman is one of my absolute favorites to watch. And I love Michael Keaton, and then Jack Nicholson as well too as the Joker is fantastic. I was a big fan of Richard Donner's Superman, again, because it wasn't like that much of like CGI and stuff going on, but the actual story was really good. But yeah, I kind of always, it's funny, I've always kind of shifted towards Batman. Also too, just the Nolan series absolutely blew me away. You know, all three of them were just so good that you cannot not love his character. And then the Christian Bale part of it too is so good. He's such a great actor, and he's got so many so many volumes and ranges that he can just, you know, send off or like come back down to it. It's great to watch because again, it just, I mean, like that beginning sequence with the one with the Joker with Heath Ledger, where he's you know, it's like a rise shot of like the mask, and then he gets picked up, and then they go to the banks, and then like they're robbing the bank, and like all of the other guys are kind of getting killed off, and it ends up as like just the Joker at the end. Like that whole setup to the beginning was just sucks you right in. So the rest of the movie, you're just on this roller coaster of a ride. And again, Heath Ledger had such a great performance in that you cannot not love it because he's just so perfect. And again, like there's so many things in that movie too that like he had to go through to make him get in that mindset. I mean, like that whole sequence where he claps when he's in the cell when Commissioner Gordon gets, you know, he gets promoted, and like that wasn't in the script, but Heath Ledger just thought that would be so cynical to watch, and it made it to the final cut, and it's so good. And it's incidents like that where the actor also gets so into it that they become it, and it makes it so much easier and so much cooler to watch.
Love it. Essentially, superhero films are becoming this era of our Shakespeare in a way, is the kind of the way I like to see it, where we have these characters that we love and we keep putting them in different situations and recreating scenarios with these characters. Superhero films have been kind of a big thing and have slowly evolved to just huge, to one of the biggest things for the box office, and one of the biggest things that production companies are going to start prioritizing of what really makes the cut to the movie theater. It's one thing when you can stream from home, but what gets on the big screen are big studio films that are going to make their money back, and that are designed for the big skeptical of the big screen. Growing up, the Tim Burton Batman films were excellent. The early days of the Superman films are great. In the 90s, we got this interesting era where Joel Schumacher was doing these kind of kid-friendly superhero films. You know, so when we got Batman, Robin, and we got Val Kilmer and George Clooney as Batman, you know, really to the market of making toys and more kid-friendly. And then as we got to the early 2000s, we started getting films like The Hulk and Daredevil, and we got kind of in the middle. And then we went through this era with films like Marvel taking over a franchise and essentially getting Josh Whedon together and the Russo brothers to kind of build this franchise up and build up to a film like The Avengers. But they wanted to create phase one, as they call it. So during phase one, they make single films like Captain America, the Hulk, Iron Man, etc., Thor. And then from there, they're building up to something, to them all coming together. And so we get films like Avengers, Age of Ultron. Then we get Avengers, Infinity War. And so during this time, it's essentially Marvel versus DC as far as the box office and what studios own what. The reason why we've never gotten X-Men involved with the Avengers is because different studios own them. But if you're looking at the history of comic books, they should be in the same room together. They should be able to kind of be hanging out. So even with Spider-Man, the reason why we got the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is owned by Sony. And so we dealt with a weird thing where the Avengers needed Spider-Man. It's very crucial. So they made a bridge to kind of work together. So Sony and Disney kind of came together for Spider-Man. And so the thing when Disney gets involved with Marvel, you're now making films that are for a 5-year-old to an 80-year-old. It just, the range is there. It's safe in a way. It's kind of safe. And so DC is coming from an approach now where we have the 90s, we have this Batman franchise. Christopher Nolan showed us you don't need humor in a superhero film for it to be good. There's not a ton of humor in those Dark Knight films, but they're great. They hold up excellent. And so there's a weird balance going into this franchise where do we match the formula of Marvel or do we go a different approach with DC? And so they needed to get a filmmaker that was innovative and someone that could kind of create the image of the comic book, but also give us some substance. And so Avengers is doing their thing with the Russo brothers and Josh Whedon. And so from there, they bring over Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is the director of Dawn of the Dead. He did Sucker Punch. The big one that he did was 300. And that's I love
too, right?
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for adding on. Yeah, dude, if anything, I'll probably butcher some things here and there with the timeline, but you'll get it by the time I'm kind of done, you know? So, yes, he did Watchmen, and early stages of Watchmen, the movie came out, you know, we got like a 2 hour and 20-minute cut, and it was a mixed bag as far as how it was received. And then Zack Snyder comes out with the director's cut, which is this like 3.5 hour, 4 hour version of Watchmen. And it is better and it is relatable to the comic books. And so um, Zack Snyder's a little bit known for style over substance, just a little bit in my book, personally. Amazing trailers, amazing visuals. He was the first guy to really start the slow motion, speed it up, slow motion kind of look. And then people copied that forever and can never truly reenact it correctly. And so they start with Man of Steel, because essentially they're going to try to do the phase 1 version of what Marvel did. And so we get Man of Steel. I'll never forget when the trailer came out, they wanted to build up the momentum of the Dark Knight trilogy ending. And they even put produced by Christopher Nolan. And they were kind of setting up, is Christian Bale going to be the Batman in this universe with Superman? But because of contract issues, and everyone that's ever played Batman gets over it pretty quickly. Being in the suit, piss breaks are probably annoying. The inconvenience of just being in that suit all day could probably be very tough. So we get Man of Steel, and we get a really good film, in my opinion. I really like it. I really like that visual of the boy, and he's by the laundry that's being hung, and he's got the cape on. It's like this 5-year-old kid, and he puts his hands on his waist, and you can see the cape is blowing behind him. So we get Man of Steel, and it does well. From there, in my opinion, is where the studio gets a little greedy and chooses to kind of rush the process. We jump into Batman v Superman, and Batman v Superman comes out, and it's like a 2 hour and 15-minute film. And I remember seeing it in theaters, and I remember kind of being a little underwhelmed. I was really impressed by some of the stuff I saw with Batman. Some of the visuals were great. It was the first time I ever saw Batman kill people before. He's blowing up cars. He's just destroying people. He's blowing them up, literally. And then there was some controversy with the film. And this is the beginning of the studio getting involved with Zack Snyder and kind of messing with him a little bit. We get Batman v Superman, and we get a scene in the film where we get hints of how the Flash is in the found footage, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are in the found footage. So we have the Marvel universe that sets up all these movies building up to getting the crew together. Within the second film, we're already trying to get the crew together. So we're rushing the process a little bit, right? So from there, we have Man of Steel, we have Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman is a mixed bag. Man of Steel does well. So they come out with an extended cut, which is a 3-hour version of Batman v Superman, and it is better. So it's kind of going to this Watchmen thing, Batman v Superman. The filmmaker in this situation needs to make the version he needs to make for you to get it. It's not, his movies are not designed to be compacted into 2 hours. Okay. And so I'm getting to the Justice League. I'm getting there. So and then anything you guys want to chime in on as I keep going real quick? I'm just checking in with you guys.
No, yeah,
just listening, man.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's funny, I was talking about it with my uncles last night, and how the difference, like, because I've always loved DC comics and superheroes more than I've liked Marvel, but I've always liked Marvel movies a little bit better because I feel like they're a little thought out. And just like you said, I mean, they started planning the Avengers in 2008 when Robert Downey Jr. first did the Iron Man. That was the initial go. And then, I mean, I don't think the first Avengers came out until 2012. So they were able to like get all of these other movies and build it up to where it's like, okay, I understand that, at the, you get the end credits as well too, where he goes with Nick Fury, and he finds these heroes and he recruits them. And it's just such a cool process to see all of that happen. And I feel like that's where it kind of dives off with DC, where, like you said, they wanted to be like Marvel so bad. So they just rushed into it. And I mean, personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of Batman v Superman. I didn't like it, whatever. And it's like, I know it's funny, when we had talked about doing this one, I had tried watching it again just to get like a refresher. And my whole thing is just, I still hate this movie. And like you said, like seeing Batman kill people for me was just it very tough because I was just fresh off the animated series too, and
Oh.
it's just like always his number one rule is to, like, no killing, no matter what. And like even like the Joker, and like the Joker's always pushed his limits, you know, with killing like Robins and stuff. And to see that just fury and rage from him, and then from Ben Affleck too, I was very you know,
yeah.
it was tough.
My biggest issue with Batman v Superman, and it will never go away. Like it always takes me out of the film, and I can't believe they allowed it to happen. Is when Batman is about to kill Superman, and he's about to stab him, and then Superman says, "Save Martha," and he's referring to his mom. But then Bruce Wayne's mom, we found out earlier because of the grave, her name is also Martha. So both their moms are named Martha. If I'm Batman, I know this man is an alien. I know he has supernatural powers. If I'm Batman, I'm looking at him and I'm thinking he's in my head. He's trying to mess with me mentally. I for sure need to like and kill him there. That's not enough for me to stop and break up that fight. I don't buy it at all. It's a total weird glitch in the story. And I'm glad you brought up the post-credit scenes, because the Marvel was the first ones to really start this. And we get I think the first post-credit scene was at the end of The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. And it's him in the bar. And I think he's dealing with like Robert Downey, or he's dealing with Nick Fury. And they're kind of hinting, you know, at this universe. And then we get post-credit scenes of Thanos. And anyway, so Batman v Superman comes out, and that's the beginning of the studios getting involved with Zack Snyder, because he's already on a road to make this Justice League franchise. And so when we get Justice League in 2017, Zack Snyder goes into production of Justice League, and Josh Whedon and the Russo brothers have finished two of the Avengers. During production of Justice League, about halfway through it, Zack Snyder's daughter tragically committed suicide, and had a personal event where they had to take him off the project. And so from there, DC, and I'm referring to Warner Brothers, is in this situation where what do? We need to grab a filmmaker that's used to this scope and how much weight that's involved with this. So they brought over Josh Whedon, and Josh Whedon came over to finish the film, which is it's kind of cool on paper when it first happened. It's like a bridge for Marvel and DC to kind of work together and just make good quality films. But we got a rushed project. We got a film that was supposed to be 4 hours long, as we saw, and we got a 2-hour version of it. And we got some interesting scenes that kind of sat a little weird with the humor. And we had like a dark blue look as far as our color palette. And then with the 2017 Justice League, we got kind of this like red orange for our color palette. All of it just was a different vibe and look. And then like if your life was a movie, or if you had a character arc, this is the coolest comeback story for a filmmaker, for Zack Snyder to get another opportunity to make this film. And I think the only reason why this film happened was this hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And fans kept pushing to see the real version of this movie, because kind of like we're saying, we love these superheroes and they needed proper justice for on the big screen. And so because of COVID, I think there was a weird opportunity where they gave Zack Snyder the original budget for the 2017 Justice League was $250 million. They gave Josh Whedon $30 million to finish the film. When they talked to Zack Snyder, they said, "How much do you need?" He's like, "I just need like 30 million and I could finish it." It ended up being 70 million to finish. And so, with all that money involved, we now have a film from 2021, and we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. And we have a film that's 4 hours long that was released on HBO Max. And thank you everyone for bearing with me on that intro of this film. Yeah.
I love it because I'm not as deep as you guys, and I love hearing the story and just the director issue. This was stuff that I didn't know before I kind of like started, knew I was coming on this podcast. So I listened a little more intently and paid a little more attention to everything that was going on with this film. But it's cool to hear the backstory.
Cool. and that's why when the film ends, you see For Autumn. That's the name of his daughter that tragically passed away. And yeah, that must have been like, I just put myself in the shoes. Imagine you don't get to finish your film, right? And you put blood, sweat, and tears into it, and then that's in the past, like that's done. And then 3 years go by, and these fans are still like, we want your version, dude. And what Zack Snyder did is he kind of trolled people. He would post storyboards of scenes we never got to see, and he would kind of tell people, and we got to see a trailer of different footages that we never got to see in the 2017 one. I remember the big one was it's Icky Thumb of White Stripes, and it's Aquaman walking out to the dock like we see in the film. And he's walking out to White Stripes, and the ocean consumes him as he jumps into the water. And I remember like watching the film, and I'm like, where's this scene? Like, where's these awesome moments we saw in the trailer? So I'm just going to say a couple things about the film, even a little bit more. Bear with me. Our film is Zack Snyder's definitive director's cut of Justice League, determined to ensure Superman's ultimate sacrifice was not in vain. Bruce Wayne aligns force with Diana Prince, with plans to recruit a team of metahumans to protect the world from approaching threat of catastrophic proportions. The cinematographer is Fabian Wagner. The writers are Chris Tenno, Zack Snyder, Will B. The creators of Superman were involved, Jerry Segal and Joe Shuster. The composer usually is Hans Zimmer, but we got Junkie XL. The producers on this film were also Christopher Nolan again, Ben Affleck, Wesley Collar, Deborah Snyder, Kurt Karamoto, Emma Thomas. And this film stars Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Amy Adams, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, William Dafoe, and many more. Yeah, what did you guys think?
I personally was, I mean, it's funny because my uncle had seen it first, and he had told me like, oh, like this, you're gonna like it. It's good, because I wasn't able to watch it that Thursday. But I keep thinking of the scene from Dumb and Dumber where he's just like, you totally redeemed yourself, and that's what I get from watching this movie. It's, the 4 hours just fly by because you're so sucked into the story. To be able to make Ezra Miller's Flash, Ben Affleck's Batman, a little bit more likable than they were in the original Justice League was fantastic for me, because I thought both of those characters were like, there was a few other characters that were maybe a little miscast, but I feel like those two, because they had such prominent roles into it, I was just not very intrigued seeing them on the big screen in those costumes. But the way Snyder was able to get them in, to change the perspective of them, and the whole, all the sequences with Flash that we get are, in my opinion, are great. And then it's nice to have, a little comedic relief, but it's not so much where he's like giving jokes. It's more so much like the little brother of the group, or like, I kind of figured he was more so of like the Tom Holland Spider-Man of it, where like he like makes like these references or says these things that like are kind of funny. And like, I mean, the funniest thing for me was when they were fighting Superman and the Flash tackles him, and Aquaman just looks over and points at him like, you're gonna get it, and he's just like, I'm sorry. And it's like that perfect little mixture where they're not pushing it to be super funny, but it's subliminally funny. I find is great, because like you said, like DC has never been the biggest for humor in their movies. I mean, I can't really think of any DC film that I really enjoyed that had that many laughs into it, as like it's very different from Marvel. So to kind of get just a little bit of that, but more so of the dramatic and dark side of the movie is great.
Yeah. Mr. Westman, what do you think?
I'll speak on the timeline first. I actually loved the 4 hour. Yeah. I couldn't believe how fast it went by.
Cool. Yeah.
I thought for sure, I was like, oh man, I'm in for a long ride here. This is gonna be so long. And I could take more. I could take more time. I could have took more time. I mean, you have, like Hunter was saying, you have these standout characters individually strong in their own, and then you're trying to incorporate them in this big story. And it's just, you've got to give them more time. You got to build their character and their storyline. And Hunter was saying, I love the Flash is he was I mean, I don't know if we're getting into our favorite characters or anything yet, but he was definitely I loved how they shot his power.
Yeah.
I thought it was just so impressive from the way they started it with that crash out in front of the little pet grooming place.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh shit, like how did they shoot that? And like, I was just like breaking down the scene as they were breaking down the scene in slow-mo, and I was so impressed, man. I do have a little bit different opinion on the comedy. I didn't know how to feel about it because it was so loud. You know what I mean? The comedy, it was like so out of place in a way, but not in like a bad way, but you're like, whoa, funny guy over here all of a sudden. And then the rest of the movie is back to like dark, normal, epic, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And then it would hit you with this little comedy and you just kind of get like, whoa, what was that? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but although I enjoy the comedy, it felt random and slightly out of place for the whole movie, but maybe not in a bad way. Cause I mean, who doesn't love a little hint of comedy? And I would speak on Marvel has done it so well that maybe it really is the best taste for DC to not and be the stoic superhero movie like that we've seen with the old Batmans and like, so I don't know if it was good or bad, but I remember feeling like, oh, weird, like funny guy here all of a sudden, and they would go back to like,
absolutely.
Specifically with that scene you're describing, because there's a couple moments where I was like taking it in. The song choice is interesting in that moment when he's saving her and it's all in slow motion. Like it's a very serious moment. It's like the first time you look at the love of your life for the first time and you're seeing this and he's taking it in, and he grabs it's a weird mixed bag constantly because he's taking it serious, but then he like grabs like a hot dog and puts it in his pocket, and then he like when time speeds up, the woman realizes that her window's busted, and then he's sitting in the corner petting all the dogs, and he's like, when can I start? I can start Friday or whatever. So I know what you're referring to with that. It's an interesting choice of a tone shift. Something that they did that I appreciated though was the type of humor, when in the 2017 Justice League, I remember there being a moment where the Flash runs into Wonder Woman's chest, and it's like a moment where he like runs into her boobs, and so it's like a more mature and silly humor rather than, I guess, vulgar is a word you can kind of use to describe it. I saw this film on Thursday night. I started kind of late because the way my day went. And this movie could have been 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. I was gonna ride it out and watch it. And I was very happy with it. I think it was really interesting the way they marketed this film. They showed a lot of dark side where you almost thought you were gonna get more dark side of where it was gonna go. But technically, if you watch the trailers, and this is spoilers, of course, based on, you can see the length of this podcast, everyone. We're gonna talk spoilers. Based off of the marketing of this film, we get the last shot of Darkseid in the trailer that we get in this film, but it doesn't matter. He was trying to get people in the door to watch the film. It's a business. There's the show and then there's business, and the business angle that they played with this film was great. They wanted to get people in the door and get excited if they're going to give him another opportunity with this film. This film is better than the 2017 Justice League, but it's not a perfect film. You know what I mean? There is, like, for me personally, there is little things I was like taken back by. I almost try to put myself in Zack Snyder's shoes. There was a couple music choices that I was really thrown by. And I don't know if it'll hold up for good or for bad, how I feel about it in the future. But in the film Watchmen, he would use like Leonard Cohen, which is this like deep voice out of nowhere, and he would play the full song. And then talking about earlier with Aquaman, when he's walking on the dock, when we got that trailer years ago, they're using White Stripes. And then when we get this song, it's this like slow burn song, and it's another deep voice. And it's like, you can be king and you are the king. And it's like him standing there at the end of the dock. I just thought I was wondering if those were specific choices of music, because it was music that Autumn liked, or I was trying to figure out, like, he clearly didn't care and just wanted to use these songs. And I really felt like the studio wasn't involved in this film. They let him make his movie. I'm just excited.
I don't know though, because I saw that he had, I don't know how involved the studio was, but I know that what I saw is that he tried to bring on Green Lantern to have like, he was going to be like one, I think it was Jon Stewart was going to be one of the Green Lanterns. And the studio told him no on that because they wanted to have like their own, upbringing, and they wanted to be the ones to announce like, hey, we're going to be making a Green Lantern movie. So again, I don't know how strict they were with that. I feel like they gave him almost full power. I would have loved to have seen like the score and then the music design if Hans Zimmer was going to be doing it, because Hans is just his, like, any movie that he is scoring and has involvement in, for me personally, is great, because he mixes the perfect emotions of what's going on with what he puts in your ears during that moment and it's funny because like obviously him and what is it, Jon Williams, the guy who does like Star Wars, like I have a lot of their soundtracks on my phone because when I'm doing stuff, I just love to listen to their scores. And especially like for Interstellar and Inception, it's just great it sucks you in so much. So it would have been rad to have had that aspect of it, like bring that in with Hans. But yeah, that was one of the big things for me too that kind of threw it off, was just there was songs just weirdly placed throughout the film. There was a lot of slow-mo going on, so like they countered that slow-mo with like another kind of like slow song. I don't know if it was to just make us feel more emotional or to kind of like dramatize the situation a little bit more, but I feel like that was they really put an emphasis on that for like the standalone characters of them doing something where like it was a slow-mo and then a song comes on and it's like, okay, like everything else fits really well, but this song is just maybe not the best choice that they could have had.
Yeah. Checking in with you, Luke. How you doing?
I don't have the palette for really like the music side of things, unless it's something I'm really noticeable. I don't break it down and think about it too much.
Cool. Good.
I didn't follow. I wasn't conscious of it as much as you guys. I kind of just was taking it all in.
Yeah. My two favorite moments of the film, and I was like freaking out. I like stood up and was just kind of like, this is great. And I'm just such a sucker for it. Really simple scenes, but it's just the way they're done. They're within like 5 minutes apart of each other. When they are meeting up with Commissioner Gordon on the rooftop, and Commissioner Gordon, there's like a little bit of a plastic floating in front of Commissioner Gordon, and you could see Batman's kind of soft in focus. And then the next shot is Batman in focus, standing above. And then just the way he like jumps down and lands next to Wonder Woman, and then the Flash lines up right next to him and they start walking forward. And he's like, there's more of you. And he's like, not enough. There's not enough of us. I was just like, fuck yeah. I was really, really well done as far as like a cinematic moment. And going back to what you said about the slow-mo, there are times where it's held really long on the person. And I wonder, like, because there's one scene in particular where Aquaman's on the dock and it's just like on him. And it's like the water splashing his face. It makes me think of like the back in the day with comic books, we would stare at the page for like 5 minutes before we would turn it, but they would focus on this amazing visual. And so there was times where I wonder if that was the intention, to like also give you a comic book feel. In 2003, Ang Lee's The Hulk, they would like box scenes together like it was a comic book. And I thought that was a really cool choice. And then the second moment I really liked was they find Steppenwolf's lair, and it's when they jump out of the ship and the camera is underneath the ship, and Batman jumps out first, starts walking away. Wonder Woman lands next to him, and then it's Cyborg, and then the Flash, and they add this like electric guitar. I was just like, I'm so easy, man. Like that's all I need. Like I need 3 seconds of that, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is awesome. What were some of your guys' favorite moments in the film?
For me personally, I like there was two moments where I kind of like you said, where I cheered. And there was one particular scene where I cheered, I rewinded it, watched the scene again, cheered, and then 5 minutes later, I was still cheering. It was the part where, you first get the taste of Martian Manhunter, where he's Diane Lane's character and his eyes go red. In that moment, I was so pumped. I never was too deep into his comic books, but John Johns in the animation of Justice League was one of my favorite characters. So then to get that finally in Justice League, I was so pumped. And again, like I was just screaming his name multiple times because I was so excited to finally, be able to see him on the screen. Yeah. And then the other one would probably be the battle sequence of like the memory of the old battle where, you see Ares, you see Zeus, you see Green Lantern, you see them all fighting. And it's funny, I'm such a sucker for that kind of battle sequence, because when like the king of the humans yells like, follow me, I was like, all right, let's go. And it kind of like made me think of like that scene in like Return of the King where, Aragorn looks back and he's like, for Frodo, and they all just start running towards the gates, where it's just like, let's go. And like I've come to the conclusion that if I was ever in a situation like that and somebody yelled followed me and charged, I'm 100%. It's not even a question. It's so cool and so dorky. I just love it.
Well, it's got a good message. It's like the best people coming together all around the world for something bigger than themselves.
Exactly.
And you okay, Luke?
My headphone power is dying. You see me looking around.
It's okay.
So we'll see what happens there. I got 10% left. Okay. So scenes. Go ahead.
Maybe put one in to charge, and then guys, you can
see if that works for us.
Divide and conquer that.
My first time with technology, I guess.
Oh yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay, so scene wise, I love the football scene with Cyborg.
Cool, man.
I loved how it was shot. This like just the scenery, the slow-mo motions, like and to talk about the slow-mo. Sometimes I wondered if it was too much. Yeah. But then I was like, okay, well, this is a director's style. And then with your input saying like maybe this is like something tied in with comic book images, that's really cool. That idea makes me appreciate it more.
Cool.
But I just love that classic football scene of him, making the TD.
Yeah, I know.
I loved how they shot it. It was like so dark and stoic and like. Yeah. I was waiting to see if something bad was gonna happen because I didn't know how his character was formed. Yeah. So I thought, oh shit, is this the moment where something bad happens? Yeah. So I was in a little bit of suspense. It was perfect. Yeah. So that was a great scene for me. And then God, there was one more. Oh, I just love is it Amazon women or Amazonian? What's the word for them?
I believe Amazonians is
the second one.
Yeah.
Where they're all just posed around the box.
Yeah.
And just like that whole, you're like, oh shit, like something's about to go down.
Yeah.
And I was feeling that. That was a dope moment too. That stood out to me. But like you said, James, about that scene where they all jump down at the end, at the lair. I felt that moment. I don't know why. I was just like, and I was like, one more, and like boom, 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 and I was like, it's go time,
Yeah, it is.
I love that scene too, Luke, of the Amazonians, where like Steppenwolf comes out and he's like, "Oh, like you're gonna feast on your fears or whatever," and she yells out, "What do you fear?"
We have no fear.
Yeah, it's so sick. There's like the unison and just the sound mixing of it, where all their voices are amplified. It kind of made me think of Judas and the Black Messiah, that part where they're walking to the Puerto Ricans and like their march is just perfect on the beat. And it's just like that. It makes it's super dorky, but it's so cool because like it makes it feel like a team effort, and you really get brought into their world.
Yeah.
Speaking on the team effort thing, I mean, when they all brought Superman back, I mean, big spoiler, obviously. That was cool. Like I felt the unity in that moment, and like them all working their powers to get him back, and then just that whole scene happening, and then like him coming back. I didn't think they like gave it enough power because it was a powerful moment. Like with him rising up, and you kind of see him over there. I don't know. The idea of it all was so rad. Like everyone get together. We're gonna bring Superman back. We're gonna all work our magic. Flash is gonna hit it with the charge. I love that unified front, and it felt like, okay, Justice League, like the whole team is bringing back the main dude,
Yeah.
Would you consider Superman the main dude, or he's just like one of the?
He's the strongest, I think, and
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have been able to defeat Steppenwolf to begin with. So without that, I mean, I feel like there's other heroes that are within kind of that same realm of power. Like I know Shazam is very powerful as well too, and can maybe kind of match him. Black Adam as well, but I think just his overall strength, speed, heat vision, it's kind of unmatchable when it comes to other heroes. But I mean, obviously, as we saw in Batman v Superman and in like the actual comics, he's not like truly made of steel because he can't be killed.
Yeah.
And we could have gotten maybe a little more time with Superman in this film, but if we were to look at this as like Zack Snyder wanted to make a trilogy of these Justice League films or just a sequel, we're setting up to get way more time with Superman. This was the same version of the film that came out in 2017 as far as where it goes, but we just get a lot more kind of filler about these characters and how they come together. And going back to what you said earlier, Luke, we get Cyborg. We get some really great info on Cyborg and his character. He doesn't say anything until about like 45 minutes into the film. He does a lot of these like,
yeah,
and they kind of turn and you're like, what do you just stand outside the window all day, dude? Like, and these kids are look at this fucking guy with his red eye, watching us play football. That scene that you're talking about when he's playing football, and then Hunter, the scene you were talking about with Zeus in that battle scene, were scenes that were filmed already before the 2017 film came out. That was supposed to be in the original cut. Those scenes weren't involved in the reshoots. And you see those scenes and you're like, why would you not put this in the original? Like, what kind of choice was that? They were definitely really trying to like stick their landing on what do we do with this franchise. And then Hunter, since you brought up Shazam, even when they made the Shazam film, at the end of the film, there's like this cameo of Superman, but they don't show his face because they don't even know who's Superman. They don't know where it's going, where this franchise is going. And so I just think it's really interesting after this movie, and it is going to be very successful. The reviews are pretty crazy for this. The numbers are crazy on this film. This will be probably setting up more of this world. I definitely I loved the visuals of when Darkseid, if he potentially takes over, where we see him killing Aquaman. We see Wonder Woman, with the coins on her eyes.
Yeah.
We see Superman is holding Batman's mask, but we see a Green Lantern is dead out front. Really heavy. I thought those were really cool visuals.
Yeah, they're like I love those. And like to go back to like Superman, I was thinking like there's so many scenes with him that they didn't involve in the original. Where like I just don't know like why they wouldn't want to have this. Like the part where he's walking through the ship and he's looking for a costume, and you hear Russell Crowe and and Kevin Costner's voices talking to him in unison. It's so rad, and it's like the perfect mixture. I mean, obviously those two are legends, so whenever you hear their voices, it brings you back to their old movies. Especially Russell Crowe too, is as Jor-El is tops. I absolutely love that. But yeah, no, I agree, because there's so many things that they could have done, but they didn't with the original, the one that came in 2017. So I was just stoked to be able to see all that extra stuff.
James, would you say this was it like a risk for the studio to bring out a movie this long, or is it just because of the quarantine and the pandemic where they were like, yeah, people can sit and digest this, right, and you don't have to get them in and out of seats like in a theater? Like, because I love this. I wish more films were this long. I love it. I love having more of things I like.
There's some interesting choices that were made here, and it's kind of a weird scenario because let's say Zack Snyder didn't have that tragedy and he was able to finish his film. The studio wouldn't let him release a 4-hour version. So we would never have gotten this film. And maybe there's an argument to be said in this 4-hour version. Maybe there's like a 3.5-hour cut there. Maybe there is some stuff to trim, but we still wouldn't have gotten a 3.5-hour film. We would have gotten a 2.5-hour film, and it wouldn't feel the same how we feel. So this worked out in the best possible way, and it is kind of opening doors to storytelling now. And what do we do? And I've avoided everything about reviews on this movie before I saw it. And one of the things that people were taken away was they wish it was structured in 4 parts, so they could watch it like an hour per time. But just watch it in the way it's structured with the 6 parts.
Yeah, that was great.
I thought it was awesome, and I think having that come up naturally is a good opportunity where you see part 3 come up or part 4, and you're like, pause, I'm gonna take a piss and grab a snack and jump back into it. This is gonna open new doors on storytelling. And like, even for instance, right now, Marvel has WandaVision and it has Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's these films that could be their own movies, but they're gonna kind of divide and conquer and kind of jump into this streaming world. And I think it was a really good choice. I think at the end of the day, it was a huge risk. But as far as like reputation for your studio and it being Warner Brothers, this was a huge thing. This is historical and iconic for a filmmaker to do this and get this kind of opportunity. It's completely unheard of. Imagine someone makes a film and they get another opportunity to make it. It's like, what the? It's a very cool thing. But to like kind of summarize your question, huge risk, and now they're going to get a huge reward for it, I think.
Yeah, because it blew up. I'm pretty sure like HBO, like the app, I'm pretty sure the app like shut down because there were so many people on there streaming.
I heard about that. Yeah.
You know, so like, and again, from the fan reactions that I'm seeing from it, there's just everybody. Oh, I would say almost everybody, because you know there are going to be people who don't like it, and people come into certain movies and already have like a mindset of, oh, I hated watching this earlier. I'm not going to watch it, or I'm going to go in with a bad taste because they kind of screwed me over, you know, years ago. So I figure if you go in with just a blank slate, you know, a clear slate on the whole thing, you really can get that vibe of it and can really kind of get the emotions that come out from the movie better, because you're not just looking at it in a snarky kind of way. You know, when you have that clear head, it just, there's so many things with the movie that didn't have in the 2017 one that I absolutely love.
Yeah. And whenever you do something where it's involving streaming, I don't think you have to worry so much about the rating either. You know, someone goes to buy a ticket and they're 14 or 15 years old and they're trying to buy a ticket for a rated R film. You're not going to deal with that situation if mom and dad already have the streaming service at home. So there's something to be said about where studios are at now with films like Logan and Deadpool, where you make these like rated R films and they make money. So you can't have the argument of my Marvel 5 to 80 thing. You know, it's made for all ages. There's still an audience for a rated R superhero film. And even movies like Kick-Ass, you know, they do well in the box office.
Like, I'm really excited for the new Blade and the new Spawn. I'm pretty sure they're doing Spawn again as well too. So I'm very excited for those ones, because the original Spawn, the clown in that, gave me absolute nightmares.
John Leguizamo.
Yeah, it was so good. And again, the original Blade too, Wesley Snipes. It's funny because the first Blade I watched was Blade 3 for some reason when I was a kid, and then I was like, oh, I need more of this. So then I went back and was able to watch the first 2, and it's so cool to have that where it's like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't be watching this because it seemed a little too more mature, but like also it's a superhero movie because, you know, he's in the comics. Yeah. And then like the same thing with Constantine as well too. I mean, I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan, so when that movie came out, I jumped on it, and I still love it to this day. They just put it back on HBO, so I'm stoked.
Back in the, what are you gonna say, Luke?
No, go ahead. I was just gonna ask about a particular scene in Justice League.
Which is probably where we should be. I'm going to say something like completely off track of the film. Back in the day, I was on a little bit of mushrooms, and I watched The Big Lebowski, and then Spawn came on after, and Spawn coming out of hell to save Earth. I was like, this is real. Like, the stakes are real. Spawn,
this is really happening.
Here. Yeah, he's here to save us, and like, it was so epic when Spawn came to help us out.
What a combo, Lebowski to Spawn.
Yeah, that's a jump.
Big jump. But what were you going to say about Justice League, Luke?
I'm just curious of your guys' opinions. about Jared Leto as the Joker
Cool.
in that scene.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I have my feeling on it, and I feel like it's probably different than your guys's. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys thought.
You want to go first, Hunter?
Sure. I think, at least for me personally, the Joker is such an iconic character to be played that it's either going to be perfect or it's going to be bad. And I feel like in this case, I wasn't that hyped on his laugh, and the laugh is like one of his trademarks. I wasn't really stoked because I love Jared Leto. I think he's a great actor. He's got a great range of movies that he's been in. I just maybe think that this wasn't the right spot for him as far as casting wise. But I also get that with like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I think those two could have been completely casted differently, and it would have been maybe a different scenario. I wasn't that stoked. I like Deathstroke. I think that actor Joe, I forgot his last name. He's pretty cool, and like he's done a couple small things. I don't know. I just wasn't really that into it. The only kind of thing that I really liked out of that was when he had mentioned about killing about killing Robin, and then Batman retaliates about like when Harley Quinn died, and now I made that promise. He's like, I'm gonna kill you too. Like, just don't you worry. I think that was probably the only part that I really liked. But again, like I'm such a non-believer in Batman killing people. Because even like there's so many incidents, situations where Joker has put him in a position that he could kill him or somebody, and his morals always come back and triumph it over his actual emotions during that moment. So to kind of get that back and forth was okay. I don't know. It's funny because I was pretty stoked seeing the images of him in like his cell, and then kind of like that trailer where you first get to the nightmare sequence where he turns around and he says Batman, and he says Batman's name. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm in. But and it's funny because I was waiting for Joker's moment throughout the whole movie, and then when you get to the end, I was just like, oh man, like I don't know. I just feel like actor-wise, they could have picked somebody a little bit different. But it's also tough because you have no idea who can do it well, especially just writing on like Nicholson, Hamill's, and then Ledger's coattails. It's tough. It's a tough role to follow up on, and maybe he just wasn't. It's just a tough thing to be able to do.
Yeah. Isn't this great though? Just right now, like
I love it.
I just think this is so cool. Like
I love it. You guys know me. I could talk. I wish if I could talk about movies or be in like in that realm forever. Like that's all I ever want to do, because that's the only thing I've ever really, that and like a few other things, but movies have always been my comfort.
I just think this is so rad that like there's this little outlet we could talk about. I'm just stoked. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Joker involving Zack Snyder. We got Batman, we got Man of Steel, and we got a little bit of hints that we're in the universe with Bruce Wayne and Man of Steel. Then we got Batman v Superman, and I'll never forget in the trailers, we see it's like a more darker, grim kind of tone, and we get an image of Robin's suit and Bruce Wayne's Batcave, and it says "ha ha ha," jokes on you, Batman. And they're kind of referring to one of the old school comics. It's Death in the Family, I believe, and it's referring to Joker killed Robin with like a steel pole and just kind of bashed his brains in. And then it looks like with the way the design is, it was like a blowtorch that kind of imprinted the Joker's writing on that suit. So we get Batman v Superman, and we're hinting towards this universe where Robin's dead in this universe. The Joker killed him in this universe. And then we watch Batman v Superman, and we get little hints of dialogue here and there, about how, Batman's kind of not necessarily suicidal, but he's a big risk taker as far as he doesn't care if he dies. He's really tested it with the villains he's dealt with. And then that was all we really got of the Joker in Batman v Superman. And then we got Suicide Squad. And Suicide Squad came out. I think a lot of the people that saw this film kind of feel the same way. On paper, it's David Ayer. So it's the same guy that wrote Training Day. He directed End of Watch. So he also directed Tax Collector. Luke, we were talking about that earlier in the week. So you see like, okay, this should be interesting where this is gonna go. And then we got images of the Joker, and we got and this is Luke, today I want to really cover Aquaman's tattoos. And right now I want to cover Jared Leto's tattoos. And how do you feel about that character they first presented when they were average? Do you remember he was in like a purple jacket and he was like shirtless, but he had some really interesting tattoos. Do you remember some of them?
I didn't really dig into that. Was that on Justice League?
No, it wasn't. I'm kind of rambling. I'm rambling.
That was on Suicide Squad where he had all the tattoos.
Like
Suicide Squad. He had like ha 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 written like pretty like tattooed like pretty good amount over his body.
I'm gonna text it to you right, Luke. I'm gonna text it to you right now.
Yeah.
And then he had like a hand or like a smile on his hand that he would like put over his face as well too.
And I remember the first scene we kind of got was this like club scene, and Harley Quinn and him are dancing, and Common is kind of complimenting Harley Quinn, and then the Joker kind of kills him. And it was really, it's a different take. It's just kind of like what my example was Shakespeare earlier. How do you recreate these same characters that we've seen over and over again? So Luke, what do you feel about those tattoos in general?
I mean, I just look at them from like, did a legit tattoo artist set these up? I hated the movie. So the movie fell so dead on me that I didn't really I was just not into the whole thing. So I've kind of forgotten a lot about the movie. Because I just remember just not
worth rewatching again.
Yeah. But the tats look good. That's not you tried. The tats look good. Like whoever drew them for the film did a good job.
Oh, cool.
The actual Joker gesture on his chest, and the lettering, the fawn across the the rocker on the stomach. I mean, they look like they're designed well. They're definitely not bad. Very fitting.
Right on. I have a point. I have a point for all this. I promise.
Okay.
So we have Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad, one of the biggest issues for me also was there's many issues with it, but it's like the studio getting involved and wanting it to be successful, like the Avengers, like I was talking about earlier. But in that film, we get two scenes with Batman. We get a scene with Batman and he's capturing Deadshot, correct? Is that Will Smith's character's name, right? Deadshot?
Yeah.
There's Deadpool, there's Deadshot, and there's Deathstroke. Thank you, dude. That's why I'm like, so anyway, yeah, with Deadshot. We get that scene with Batman. The other scene we get is a chase scene, and Batman is chasing the Joker and Harley Quinn. Their car crashes. Batman goes into the water, and then he captures Harley Quinn. The Joker is gone. We then have Justice League come out. We have these films come out. We have never seen Batman and Joker talk yet in this entire universe. So when we get 2021 Justice League, first, this nightmare scene was for sure an add-on. It was for sure something where it was like, let's fucking go for it. We're probably going to get to make this movie again. We're probably not going to be able to play with these characters and actors the same way again. I think we need one scene with the Batman and the Joker. And I do have issues with that scene also, the way you guys are talking on it. My negatives first are, I thought the blocking was really weird in that scene, because if you think about the scene, they're all walking, then they all choose to take a break. And then it's like Cyborg or Wonder Woman or whoever asks Batman a question, and then the Joker starts kind of talking, interrupting their conversation. So my first question is, did they already know Joker was sitting there, and have they been with him the entire time? Or were they walking up and then noticed the Joker sitting at this car just kind of chilling there?
I think they were all together, because I'm pretty sure Deathstroke asks Batman, like, oh, do you still think it was a good idea to bring him along? And Batman's like, oh, what do you think? So I'm pretty sure that when in that universe, when Lois Lane dies and Superman joins Darkseid, I think Batman just gets everybody together that he possibly can. And Joker's just got to be one of them.
I love it. Thank you for establishing that. And so that kind of takes away my blocking issue, because I'm in my head, I'm like, they just casually walk up to him, whatever. So they've been with him for a while in this scene that we get. We kind of jump into it randomly. I'm not a fan of the laugh. I thought it was really interesting to keep the card sharp and then make him soft and then bring him in. It's the best writing that we've had with the Joker so far as what dialogue was said. Calling Mira a fish stick, just little moments like that I thought was kind of cool. Boy Wonder, adopted son, kind of taunting Batman. The moment that I trip out on is when Batman, he for the first time ever drops an F-bomb. Like, I've never seen Batman cuss in any form, and so he's like, "I will fucking kill you," is what he tells him, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like he's, it's like, oh, not Batman dropping an F-bomb. I thought it was an added scene that we maybe didn't need, but it didn't hurt. I like Luke said, you could just watch more and more of this world in these characters. But it's weird, like, we're now a little all over the place when you introduce a scene like that. Now you're just kind of having fun with us, as opposed to what's the sequel where it does work out for Darkseid and then it becomes a nightmare universe. Instead, he's just playing with a hypothetical universe. I don't think we would ever get that film all the way through. And so what's the point then? And then, but it was cool to get, it's kind of weird though, the way they marketed the line, "We live in a society," and then we don't get him to actually say that line in that scene. So it's always kind of weird when they do that in the trailers. I'll do like a checklist during the movie where I'm like, oh, there's that moment. Oh, there's that moment. And so when you're watching that scene, the way that they marketed this film, you do expect Joker to eventually say this line, "We live in a society." But anyway, it was all right.
Yeah. I figure that they possibly could have put that in the end, just because I believe Joker has a line where he says like, "Oh, how many dimensions or how many worlds are you going to mess up, Batman?" And I think that it might be like a precursor to the Flash paradox, where because Flash is going, he's got this multiverse where he runs so fast and he goes into a different world. I feel like that could possibly be like a lead up to the Andy's Flash movie that'll be coming out in a few years or so. Because I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Flash paradox, the cartoon is so cool. So to be able to like even like get a little taste of that, like I'm 100% in, because I absolutely loved the animation for that one. It was so cool.
Yeah, and to bring it back around, just with that initial question on how you felt about the Joker, I was surprised that you didn't like it, because I thought, I thought you liked Jared Leto, so I was like, oh, he's gonna love that scene, and I was gonna feel stupid for not liking it, because I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
and I because I was like, you guys know what's up, you know what I mean? But from my opinion, I hated the scene. I mean, the visual was rad, seeing them in the gear and like just like some of that, like the ships coming in or whatever that was.
Yeah.
But that dialogue and that back and forth at the end of the movie, it was like knowing the Joker was going to be in it, and then seeing that at the end and being like falling flat. I was just like, what the fuck? And I didn't like the Joker being, I mean, like you said, he's such a prominent figure and has like such a strong character throughout that universe. Jared Leto just, I don't know, it was too Jared Leto. It wasn't enough Joker or something.
I'm such a fan of his that I wanted to like it, and I wanted to give his Joker a second chance, because again, I really hated Suicide Squad, and because like when you get that glimpse of him, as you said, where Batman's looking at the Robin costume and it's got that message onto it, I'm like, oh man, this Joker could be really cool, and like it'd be rad to give Leto that chance to get like his version of it. I just don't think that's the role for him. He's got a great range, but I wasn't fully invested into him.
Yeah, that scene didn't do it for me at all. I was like
you said, there were cool shots into it, like where he's talking and like you get like this, like the side shot of him and the sun's right here, and then like it's all shot very cool and very well. But like I couldn't get over his voice, his laugh, and then even like his look, really, like his makeup. I wasn't that big of a fan of.
Yeah, and then like you said, Lex Luthor at the end too. Like it's like such a weak.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're being nitpicky, you're like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg, like he's a great actor. Like I love The Social Network. Like a lot of the movie, like Zombieland, I love his character. His character is not you couldn't cast Michael Cera to be a hitman, you know, because he's not that kind of guy, you know, like it's like, it sucks that he's kind of stuck in his realm because he did a movie like Superbad where, you know, you kind of only see him as that dork, like in Juno as well too. There's some actors that like can switch up and do certain things and then go back, like Christian Bale, I would say, but there's also other guys that just, you know, they just can't because it just doesn't fit them, you know. Which sucks because like I want everybody to be able to do whatever they want to do, but I mean it's just at the end of the day it's just not as good as it could have been or as if it's previously been done.
And I thought Wonder Woman was great. I thought Aquaman was cool. You know, I like Jason Momoa. You're gonna talk about his tattoos, or was that? Did we lose sight of that? I really love his tats.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're fitting and they're cool looking and they remind me of like a cool Polynesian water connected style, and I think they look rad. He looks rad. I thought his character was kind of mediocre. I
agree,
but it also makes sense because he's a water guy and he's out of the water a lot, so like what can you do? But I love Wonder Woman. She's dope. That bank scene where she stops every bullet.
That scene is so cool because it's, again, like Snyder is very great about doing that, like that whole kind of where it looks like it's a video game with how they're moving, but we're getting live action. So it's like, whoa, this is so rad. So when she's just moving incredibly fast, beating up all those like villains in the beginning, and then, you know, she stops all the bullets, which I think was in the original, but seeing that again is super cool. She's a great character, and Gal Gadot is she's awesome in it.
I just want to go back to something you could tell also they changed, this is the Joker thing, going back on then going to where we are on the Joker. They even changed his look for this film. You know, in the Suicide Squad, he's got like spiky hair, you know, he's got the gold teeth. In this film, in my opinion, they made him look a lot like Joaquin Phoenix, with the way they do the makeup and the face and the hair slicked back. And I thought that was an interesting choice where they're just trying everything to get you to like this Joker.
Yeah. And it's funny, as you said too, like there's so many great Jokers. I forgot that Joaquin Phoenix did that. And it's funny because I loved his Joker. I'm a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan. I love his story, and I love River Phoenix as well. And I completely even forgot about like his role in that because there's so many prominent actors that have played that, and then to just be on that mantle with them is tough. You know, it's a tough one to play.
I thought it was pretty cool. Zack Snyder was the one that really pushed for Jason Momoa to be Arthur Curry, Aquaman. Aquaman is supposed to be this like blonde-haired guy, surfer kind of look. And I think it's a great choice for Jason Momoa to kind of take over this franchise with Aquaman. That being said, though, there were a couple liners from Jason Momoa that were like, you know, even there's one scene where he's talking to Amber Heard's character and he like turns back and he's like trying to be edgy and he's got like his hand in the wave, like he's trying to leave, and he's like one foot in the door, 1 foot out. And we see him walk off a lot. We see him like get a line in and then walk off. And not a lot of humor coming from his character. He's kind of, you know, grim. And I love the superhero moments where it's from high up where we're looking at Jason Momoa looking down on the guy before he saves him. It's just such a superhero moment. I think it's cinematically it's there. But there was some line delivery that was like, and then they gave Wonder Woman a lot of what's the word I'm trying to say? She didn't necessarily deal with the character arc, but she was giving us a lot of information. Forgetting the word I'm trying to say, but like she was there to kind of feed the viewer a little bit on what's going on. And when she goes to visit Darkseid and she's looking inside the like the pyramid or the castle, wherever she is, she's there to like feed the audience on what's going on, as opposed to her having to deal with any real personal issues. But
push the narrative or whatever.
And what's the?
I feel like maybe they did that though, just because like, you know, Aquaman, I guess, had his own standalone film, and then I don't think this portrays I think Wonder Woman 2 in the universe would be before she meets up with the Justice League then too, right? So I guess in like the time frame, like she's already had 2 movies to be able to like establish herself, and then to also be able to use her, as you said, as information to where you don't have to make a movie to show what happened before. You can just use her and then had a memory scene like how they did with the battle. So yeah, again, I wasn't too. It's funny because I really think that this movie has a Cyborg solo film like in it, basically, which is rad because like we didn't really get that in the first one. We kind of was like, oh, Cyborg, and I was kind of weird. I'm like, I don't really like Cyborg is more of a Teen Titans guy, not a Justice League guy, and so like in Snyder's verse, like they really made him the only one that could have like saved the day, but like out of all of them because he could get inside, the mother boxes. So I think having that with being able to show all of his kind of previous history and then just the emotions that you feel with like seeing the scene where his mom dies, seeing the scene where he's like sees his dad die, you really feel for his character, which allows it to be easier to watch without getting, the solo films that we got with like Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Great point.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you just brought up Cyborg because he was supposed to be in the new Flash film, and Ray Fisher is one of the big advocates that's really pushed that. Josh Whedon, when he came over to finish the film in 2017, gave it a really unpleasant set experience and gave a lot of tension to everyone. And Ray Fisher is one of the big people that was pushing about his behavior, and he pushed it so much that they've taken him off of anything related to Cyborg and Warner Brothers. And so I almost wish he played the game a little bit better, is kind of my way of saying it, where producers can be dicks, man, and it's business and they don't care about how you feel. They want to make money. And he was like one film away from being in a contract where even if he was a squeaky wheel, they need him. And I'm really glad he did get to shine in this film a lot more than the previous one.
Yeah, because I mean, based off this, I would 100% go see a Cyborg solo film because I love his character. Again, like I used to watch the Teen Titans animated show, so I kind of affiliate him more with that. But to just be able to get more of him, like I'm in, because I think Ray Fisher absolutely, like, I think he did a good job.
What'd you guys think of the ATM scene? With him like helping out the mom and
yeah. Like you get
that's cute. That's cool.
Filler, and then again too, I feel like that portrays the like his solo part of it, where like
you're right.
He instantly he understands like how to like control his powers. It's funny, I was off topic, but I was just watching Scanners as I was telling you the other day, and the whole movie is like these people that have telekinesis powers and that can do these things. Well, one of the main scanners, or one of like the main guys, he's being trained on how to use his powers, and within like the first like 10 minutes of training, he gets it. Like he knows how to do it, and he's basically mastered it, and he looks at the doctor and he's like, you're right, it was easy. And so like you like kind of like that quickness to the punch of them being able to do their stuff. And I feel like that was also a big thing of why I hated the newer Star Wars, because Rey just like instantly became powerful, and it was just like, oh, like you don't really get to see much training, as were like the previous ones where you get that, and that's what really develops the character, because to be able to go through, like, see them go through those trials and tribulations gives you a better sense of feel for them. So I would much rather see them take the long route of being able to get their powers than just instantaneously like, oh, I'm very strong now and I know how to do my thing.
Couple random points, just going back on what we've talked about. The Amazonian scene with the women, I like how that scene becomes like a baton race, the way it's shot.
Yeah.
And then you see people getting like fucked up. You see people getting like destroyed.
Yeah.
I think that's so intense. The scene where she's like holding the wall from
that was super cool.
It's a total
sacrificing himself.
Without any doubt, any hesitation. I thought that was just really heavy. And then when Luke, earlier you talked about the scene with the Flash and how he kind of speeds up. I love that he like just explodes his shoes. Because he just gotta go, dude.
Outran his shoes.
Okay, I'm gonna get to a couple random questions for us. Favorite character in the film?
I think for me, it was the Flash. I think I had the most fun watching him and all his sequences, and it just got established as soon as he came into the scene with that wreck and the way he laid down that girl and grabbed the hot dog. He just became a favorite. I mean, I'll say this, and I don't know if this is one of your questions. My least favorite was actually Superman.
Really?
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, and I love him. I don't know. For me, the actor that plays this Superman, I'm not like in love with. I think he's got the look and the body, but he doesn't have the energy for me.
Yeah.
Like just the way his mannerisms. So he was like one of my least favorite. Him and Bruce Wayne were my two least favorite. Yeah, I know. Just dropping a bomb here.
Nah,
Wonder Woman
I
and the
agree with Bruce
Flash.
Wayne 100%.
Cool, man. Cool. Wonder Woman
and I like Ben Affleck, and I like his personal story and how he's come up, and he's just a prominent actor, and he's got producer credits, and like that's rad. But I just didn't like the vibe.
Yeah.
I didn't love the vibe, and even like it's weird to say Superman. When he's fighting them and just like almost like a villain at that moment where he doesn't know who he is yet.
Yeah.
And it's just like he never lost that energy for me throughout the film. I don't know why. I just random personal opinion, but yeah, the Flash was my favorite. I like the Flash. The lightness of his character and the coolness of his superpower.
They do a good job with I like show don't tell humor. So I enjoy the scene where he's like running up on Superman.
Yeah, and then Superman looks.
Yeah, and he's just like, you see his like fear immediately and his doubt.
Oh, he
starts to
sees
have
me?
some doubt. Yeah. He's like, dude, what the fuck? What was I gonna say? With Superman, I don't understand also. So he like wakes up from the dead. He's dealing with maybe memory issues. With the lineup of different superheroes, Batman's not there. So there's not a familiar face except for maybe Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman was helping him in battle in Batman v Superman. He starts to fight them. He's going to kill Batman. And then Lois shows up again. So they do a good job of kind of bookending that whole, there's a situation with Save Martha, and Lois is in the middle of Batman Superman, and Lois saves Superman. But then now we're in a position where Lois shows up, and then she's now saving Batman in front of Superman. But I don't get it. Like, did he forget everything? And then the second he saw Lois, it made him remember everything. And then when he went to the farm to talk about it with her, did she catch him up?
They don't show the transition very well.
You're a little confused by why now. Why is he like moral compass is back on?
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is that in that sequence, he is like, before they start fighting, he's looking at them and he's kind of scanning them just to see who they are. And then Cyborg's character fires a shot because his warning goes off. So I figure in that moment, he's like, okay, like I'm checking them out. They were fine, but something's going on where they're attacking me. Like, so now I'm going to retaliate, because I feel like his memory is still there. Because when he sees Batman, he knows who Batman is.
Yeah.
Like he is like very vivid. Like he sees him from across and he's like, I'm going to go get this guy. And, I'm going to, because like he could have laser beamed any one of them, but chose to just do it to Batman and like intentionally go and kill him in probably one of like the worst ways that he really can. And then that's when he sees Lois, and I feel like it doesn't all really come back, but I figure that's the only person that he's ever loved besides his mom and his dad. And to see that person of such, promise in your life who has made you feel a certain way kind of skews you. And then, I mean, I guess just Lois Lane's character in general of like throughout the history has always been like the one to be able to connect to Superman because of the love they have for each other.
Yeah.
So I figure that maybe that they're trying to play on that, like, oh, love can come, like really conquer really all, basically, because he gets brought back from the dead, and at first you think he's a different guy, but then he sees her, and it's like instantly a switch gets back on. I'm not too sure, but I kind of lean towards you guys, where like it's kind of bizarre how they did it, because again, like I don't know, it's super strange when dealing with bringing somebody back from the dead, because I feel like in every other incident throughout movies, that person has always been different. So like maybe they're trying to continue that play of like, you come back, but you don't come back all there.
Yeah. Good. I dig it. Did you notice when Lois Lane, I can't remember what she actually grabs, but she like opens her drawer and there's like a pregnancy test there? What's your okay, Hunter, what's your theory? Why is there a pregnancy test there?
I was stoked because obviously, it leads to Superman's kid, and like I was in my head, when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe they're trying to do this to do Teen Titan movies later on, because Teen Titans is Robin, like Aqualad, boy, I forget, I don't know if it's Boy Wonder or Wonder Boy of what Superman's other guy is called, and like maybe I was thinking about that, and which also would make sense if like they still have Cyborg, because Cyborg was a part of them, and then you also get like other kind of heroes to. So when I saw that in my head, I was like, okay, they're letting us know now that they're going to be having these movies later on because of the pregnancy that they have together. You know, that was my initial, and like maybe I just got my hopes up because again, I'm just such a Teen Titans fan that I would love to be able to see them on the big screen, because I know they have the HBO show, and the HBO show is actually pretty well. Like I like it. I like to see, you know, all of the Robins come through together. Where it's like, you know, you get Jason Todd, you get Tim Drake. You know, I think Tim Drake's going to be in the new season. You know, you get Dick Grayson, and he's obviously my favorite. So I would just love to be able to, you know, see more of that. You know, because I'm such a fan.
There is a comic book where when the death of Superman happens, Bruce Wayne and Lois date, and Bruce Wayne gets Lois pregnant, and then Superman comes back to life. And I think they were maybe hinting at that coming up, and how you deal with this love triangle, and then how they're eventually setting up where Lois dies because Bruce Wayne's fault, his kid, Darkseid, that whole triangle that comes around, where Superman and Wonder Woman eventually hook up is like the one comic that it goes. So I don't know what they were getting at with Zack Snyder. He can just throw something in and kind of be all over the place and get away with it. I think they were hinting at, like, why would she have it now when Superman's been dead for a while? Like, why would she still have the pregnancy test?
Yeah,
I think it's hinting at that scenario. But we'll see or not see. Hunter, your favorite character and least favorite character. Let's do both.
it's funny because I think the characters I love the most when they were on screen are such small roles that don't really like go with like the main cast. Again, seeing Martian Manhunter was probably my favorite part.
Cool.
I was so excited to finally be able to see him like on the screen, because we've never gotten that. And then I was a really big fan of Amy Adams in this movie. Actually, her a character that she played, where she's an emotional wreck basically, and she misses Superman, and she doesn't know what to do with her life without him, and she just can't figure out like what really to do anymore. I really enjoyed those scenes with her. I thought were really well. And it's funny, she's only got like 3 or 4 scenes, but I love Diane Lane so much that her as you know, Superman's mother was just absolutely great. And that scene where she drives up on the truck, and she's just like, she gets out of the car and like, you know, she sees him. She's such a great actress that she sells it so well. That I love that. Least favorite, there's probably the few that I would say, I think I've already mentioned, is like Batman, and that's all just casting purposes. Just cool. like their character in the movie was okay, but I just figured that they could have picked somebody better to be in that part. So like Ben Affleck, again, Jared Leto, Jesse Eisenberg. I would say that's really it. I really like Jason Momoa. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, as like almost everybody is. So like him as Khal Drogo is just a total badass. So to be able to see that kind of, not the similar character, but kind of that same style of like a wild guy, you know, is rad. It's funny. I kind of don't really like Aquaman because my girlfriend like loves him, and like like whenever she wants to mess with me, she'll put on Aquaman and just like look at me and like look at the screen and just like, oh my god, you know, and like she kind of toys with me with that a little bit, so it kind of, you know, leaves a little bad taste because, you know, he is a great looking guy. But I figure I kind of glad they didn't go the blonde hair, blue eye kind of look. I'm kind of glad that they, you know, they gave it their own little twist into it. So you know, I was a fan. I would say it's just those 3 castings could have been a little bit better. I really like Henry Cavill. I think the first movie I saw of his, I think we talked about it already, was Immortals, where he played, you know, it was back like in Greek mythology time, and he plays like this one of the sons of Zeus. It's funny, in that, when I saw that movie, I was like, damn, this dude could play Superman, because he's sick. Like he's got a good voice. He's got the body. You know, he's got the good facial structure. Because which I feel like in past Supermans that we've gotten, none of them were actually ripped. You know, like Christopher Reeves wasn't. You know, he was tall and like broad, but like he wasn't super muscular. The dude who played the other Superman, which that movie was horrible as well too.
Brandon Routh.
Yeah, that one. He wasn't very like fit, so I was like, oh, these guys aren't really like Superman to me. So when I saw like that muscular, it's like, oh man, like this guy's really like he's really steel because he's solid.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I dig what you said, Luke. Here, he just doesn't have that like I don't know, because I figure like Superman and like Captain America would kind of be like not like power wise, but like their character of just like the American hero is kind of on the same playing field, and he doesn't really have that. He's more of like kind of by himself, and then like we'll save the day and like make this happen, but I just don't think he's as vocal as he could possibly be, you know.
Yeah. What about you, James?
Well, I just I want to add whenever you guys talk, I just get all excited. I just want to add to it real quick. I think the way that Superman was used in this film was kind of rough. Every time he did these moments, you know, and he's got like laser eyes or whatever, I didn't feel it as much as I wanted to in his aesthetic. And you could also tell he's like not getting as juicy, if you know what I mean. Steroids. He's not getting as juiced up for the roles. So it also kind of shows a little bit. I think it was a huge disservice to this film that we didn't get one scene of dialogue between Batman and Superman. I think that was really important, especially for you guys and how you guys portrayed Batman and Superman in this film. The whole thing was him bringing the whole gang together. And I think we needed that moment of the two of them and their brotherhood kind of coming together. My favorite always is gonna be Batman. I'm a big Batman guy. I like totally judged when they casted Ben Affleck as Batman, and then I'll never forget like where I was sitting, where they released this image of Batman in the bat suit leaning against his car, and I think this is the best bat suit we've ever gotten in the Batman universe. The actual Batman look and the physicality, and how like I love how thick his neck is on the mask that he wears. I get like Michael Myers vibes. I get like a really cool kind of aesthetic that I appreciate. But my favorite character and the one I was most surprised about was Cyborg. I really appreciated that whole connection with his father and why he is the way he is. I think we really needed that. And then if you guys are a fan of the actor Ezra Miller who played the Flash, check out this film called We Need to Talk About Kevin. Have you guys seen it? No?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I'll text it to you guys, like a little link.
Okay.
I think you guys will dig it. I think you guys will dig that film.
Is he in Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Correct.
Okay, so I think that was the first movie that I saw of his, and I'm like, oh, like this guy's pretty cool. Like I thought he was really weird in the Harry Potter spinoff.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe it was just like his like bowl cut, like this, you know, his look, which I guess makes it actually kind of cool because he was like very creepy and like didn't really recognizable. But I think, you know, after watching like those few movies, seeing him now, like I kind of dig it. I wouldn't have been mad if they chose the actor that plays the Flash in the TV show, in the CW Flash.
Right.
That show's pretty cool, and like I dig that. I just don't think maybe like that guy was, maybe I don't know, maybe he was just a little too tall, just wasn't structurally sound to be in, you know, in this Justice League film.
There's a video of Ezra Miller, and they were really like hush about it when it came out, but some fan charged Ezra Miller, and it's like a petite woman, and he grabs her by the throat and throws her to the ground. It's kind of gnarly.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a little like, you know,
weird.
Try doing that to someone your own size kind of moment. You know, like he over exaggerated big time on this fan. And they were kind of low key about it because Andy Muschietti, the director of It 1 and 2, is going to do the Flash franchise. He's going to kind of take that over a little bit. But
guy too. That guy is like his. Yeah, I'm so surprised because Mama was so bad, and like I'm pretty sure that was like his first movie.
It was
so bad that when I saw that he was directing It, and It is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. I'm a huge horror guy. I love everything. I have a Shudder account, so I always, you know, try to watch as many horror movies as I possibly can. To see like his name on, you know, anything Stephen King, I was like, what is this? How is this gonna like, and then how are they gonna do this? And he did It 1 and 2 so well that it instantly made me a fan. I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna watch I mean, I've already watched everything that you've done because it's only been 3 movies, but now it's to the point where like whatever you do, I'm gonna at least give it an attempt because of, you know, the creative mind that you've had and been able to do, you know, it. So I'm excited. I think again, like, cause if it's anything like the Flashpoint Paradox, I'm 100% in. To see Batman's father become actual Batman, if that happens, like I'm in. Like, cause I'm pretty sure in Flashpoint, like Superman is like hidden away. Like I'm pretty sure like when he crash lands, the US like put him in his tank and like he doesn't get to the sun, so he doesn't get his powers. So and then like Cyborg is like this military leader for the US, so the Atlanteans and the Amazonians are at war. Like I'm all for that because I think that would be so cool. And you kind of get a little glimpse of it, you know, at the end where he runs back and, you know, he runs back in time basically. And I think that could be a cool thing for them to do.
Dope. Are you guys doing okay on time? I just want to check in with you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is my little film school ramble at this point in the episode. That's why I wanted to check in with you guys. And Hunter, this is something where I'm kind of talking to you about this. When Andy Muschietti directed the film Mama, at first it was only a short film. It was a couple minutes long.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro saw it, gave him the budget to make the feature film, right?
Yeah.
And then Andy Muschietti went on to go do, you know, like we talked about, It 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. He's now going to do the Titans, that anime, the giant monsters, that Titan show.
He's doing Attack on Titan.
That's it. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Okay,
yeah.
But I'm talking about his start, right?
Yeah.
He prioritized making a short, and not a short that's 20 minutes long, a short film that's like 5 minutes long, right? Another example is David F. Sandberg made a short film called Lights Out, and then I can't remember who picked it up, but both these two directors are in with Warner Brothers. And so he makes Lights Out, then he makes Annabelle 2, he makes Annabelle 3, and then they give him Shazam. So there's something to be said about these mini films that have I know I have the same issues with Mama that you do, but there's something to be said about like getting your foot in the door by just making a short film, but having the pitch for your feature, you know? And so
it's the same thing with like Wes Anderson and Bottle Rocket, you know, like when him and like the Wilson brothers got together and like, oh, like let's do this. And like, it's funny because I'm such a big Wes Anderson fan that I watched the short film of Bottle Rocket on YouTube and I was like, oh, this is great. You know, like the Wilson brothers together, like just beefing, going at it. And then, you know, you get that, I'm pretty sure it's in black and white. And then you just get like that, which really sets off Wes Anderson's career. And he's done so many fantastic movies that, you know, you get that, and I love short films. I mean, the only 2 that I've ever done have been short films. So to be able to like know that directors like still love doing that. Like I think last time we talked about Yorgos, I can't say his last name. He did The Lobster and he did a couple other things. He's got a new short called Nimic with Matt Dillon, and it's perfect, absolutely perfect. I loved it. I could watch again, but I could watch Matt Dillon do anything. I think I told you about Rumblefish. I was super stoked to be able to watch that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think that's awesome because you get that initial foot in the door, like you said, and you're only really doing what you loved. And if you can take that like short and then be able to develop it into a whole movie, like all the power to you, because that's my entire goal is to be able for somebody to see something that I've done and be like, hey, like I want to see more of this. Like let's get you going so where you can have this budget and to be able to do what you want to do. And then, you know, again, like if people like it, they like it. If they don't, then they don't, you know. Yeah. But as long as you're able to be able to tell your story and then show your vision, that's beautiful.
Well, and then also this scenario with these 2 filmmakers makes me think about your Warehouse short. Mm-hmm. And like, if that's done, executed a certain way, you can maybe get that same situation, especially if you have, one of the biggest things is if somebody likes it and then hits you up and they say, do you have a feature ready for this? You can say, yes, I do. It's right here. Look, read it.
Yeah.
Open it up,
check it out.
Yeah. Smell it. Okay. I like to ask this question about whatever film we're covering. Favorite frame and still from the movie. If you were to kind of pause and screenshot a scene from the film and have it up in your home, what would that still be?
I would say there's a couple that I really dug. The part where they're looking at, it's the memory scene of the old battle, and they're looking at all the warriors. Like, I feel like there's a few in there that I really dug. Like when the Green Lantern there goes up, when Zeus is just like getting a firebolt, like a lightning bolt ready, and chucks it.
Yeah.
Those are super rad. I think probably the one that I really like one of the most that I can't get out of my head is when Superman is in the black suit and he's beating up Steppenwolf, and he's just on the ground and he's hitting him, and then he like hits him with the laser beams. Like, that's probably, I thought that scene was super rad. I mean, I feel like you could have also chosen the part where they're going into battle, and it goes like Batman's driving the Batmobile and they're all following him, and it goes slow-mo, and you see all the characters, and then bam, it goes right back to the full speed. So I feel like that one could be well, but I think seeing Batman in the black super suit was any angle of him in that is probably my favorite, because again, I mean, I love black, so to be able to see him rock that is so cool.
Cool.
I have, mine's like, it feels so just kind of simple but iconic, is when he puts that suit on and flies up, and you see the earth and the sun, and it just looks like a blockbuster photograph. Right. It's like the back of him silhouette kind of, but it's very like maybe typical or common, but it looks like a picture, you know what I mean? And I remember thinking like, whoa, that's a dope shot, like so that was mine.
I love that, like, because like you said, that is very like comic booky, like, because Superman gets his son from the power, so like you see him go into the sun, like into the sky, and then he's looking at it, and he's just getting all of the rays in that gives him his strength, and that was a rad scene for sure.
The opening sequences where Superman is like taking his last breath, and it's like kind of exploding out of him. All those images in the beginning were really beautiful, like really well put together, and kind of reminding you also, this is where we're at in this film. This is what's happened. I really like of course, the group shot where they're all together, and then like you feel Batman kind of like, you can almost feel like there's like, they were like filming it and they're like, Batman, turn to your left. And he just kind of like does that for a moment. When they all get lined up is kind of cool. I think the timing of when they all, like the scene I talked about earlier where they all jump out of the ship, I think if you were to pause it when the Flash lands, you could have all 5 of them at one point, kind of their posterior, their backside as they're walking away, I think would look really cool with the pad. It was there's a lot of moments when I ask this question on every episode. In this one, you could find a bunch of good images to kind of screenshot and grab.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things. I mean, even like the end too, or like, again, I'm so like biased with Martian Manhunter. So when he goes and he sees Bruce Wayne, just that shot of him, like I'm cool with that too,
I don't know if we needed both scenes. Like, let's say we got rid of the nightmare sequence. And then we just kind of ended it where, Darkseid doesn't come in yet, and it kind of wraps up like they're a team now. I don't know if it would make a good post-credit scene. I only think we needed one Martian Manhunter scene to get it like he's in this universe. But it is kind of funny. He shows up and he's like, I'm around, if
Bruce Wayne's like, cool, like it would have been cooler if we were here before, we kind of needed all the help we needed, like all of a sudden now you want to be involved in like
exactly.
I totally understand that 100%.
And then we caught Batman like slacking, man. He's like sleeping during the day, I guess, because he fights at night, I guess. But it's like a nap, bro.
What did you guys think of the scene where Aquaman jumps back in the water and the girl grabs the sweatshirt and they start singing?
I'm so happy you brought it up.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, that was very bizarre.
Yeah, it felt awkward.
It's very bizarre. Like that, I think that, I don't know if they were like praying to him, like if they had like a certain song that they sang every time he came. I don't know. It was very like you said, that was very weird.
It's like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
It was another kind of musical choice that happened. The music got better for me after the first 2 hours, the musical choices. That was a weird ass moment. And then like, what are they trying to say? Like, this guy fucks, you know what I mean? Like this guy, like
that's kind of what they alluded to. Like, hook up with her.
Like Aquaman's here you go. Just kind of,
take me.
Lay the pipe, lay it. there was a couple things where I was so surprised where we see him leave 2 times that bar. And in the first time, he's like, Bruce Wayne. He's like kind of taking his clothes off and then swims away. And then the second one, you know, the water kind of hits him. I thought it was weird. I thought it was kind of a weird. No, I'm so glad you brought it up. That was a weird ass moment.
But I will say the moment where at the end where Wonder Woman freaking hacks Homeboy's head off and it goes into the time thing or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a great like you know, and fuck you.
Well, and then like I don't understand. Just to be a devil's, I love the moment too, and just to be like a devil's advocate voice to it. The blocking was so funny on that scene. So it's like Momoa stabs him, and then he can hold his weight now. You know, Aquaman just holding him up. Superman punches him off his little shank. So he's punching him off the shank, and so he's like flying in space. And then Wonder Woman's like, check this out, you know, and then runs up, does the flip, chops it. It was a very like combo move moment. You know, everything was perfect, you know?
Yeah. Like
their like quick little battle when Superman get there leading up to that is sick, where like Wonder Woman hits Steppenwolf, he flies, Aquaman hits him, then he flies again, and then Superman comes down, hits him with a punch, sends him to the ground. Like you get like that teamwork of like, you know, the first time they battled him, they weren't together, and you know, they kind of went off and didn't have like an actual plan, as like the Flash says. So I feel like to get that at the end, it's like, okay, like they're really like they're becoming the Justice League now, you know?
Yeah.
An actual team and a unit where they can fight people together.
And you guys know this from being on set. It's kind of funny to watch a scene where, you know, there's no music playing yet. You know, we haven't really edited the scene together yet. But imagine now adding an element where we have to pretend, you know, we're combining 3 mother boxes and just like it's pretty silly when you think about what set is like and what they're doing. And it's like a bunch of dudes in a green room and they're pretending these boxes they need to separate. And it's pretty silly, but it's definitely a huge spectacle and like a huge like redemption story as far as this film and it getting made. And I think this is just the beginning for this movie, you know, for this franchise.
Yeah, I think the way they left it off, especially with like the fan review of it, there's no way that they let Snyder just walk off of this and like, you know, because what are they gonna do? Like they have the Flash movie that's already in production.
Correct.
But like, what are they gonna do after that? You know, because I feel like you said, they're gonna try to mimic Marvel in a certain way where they can have these solo films, but also unite them together. And then there's so many good villains that like they could bring in before like. Because Darkseid says like, "Oh, get the Armada, like we're coming." I feel like they could even like throw in another Justice League movie with like another villain to be able to battle, and then you get Darkseid. But I mean, it all depends on how they want to play it out. Warner Brothers hasn't been the greatest about setting the structure of these movies to like fully get them. But I mean, I'm excited because like I mean, I'm kind of over The Rock as an actor, but I'm excited for him in Black Adam. Like I think like that's a role that like I will go pay to see him like do. I think the last Rock movie I saw was Central Intelligence, and I just wasn't a fan. And I think after that moment, I was like, you know what, I'm cool. Like I can watch old like WWE reruns if I want to see him do something now, you know. But I'll be excited for that. So like hopefully they can figure something out and use the movies that have come out recently, because I feel like Shazam was pretty solid, you know, to be able to kind of build off those like certain other heroes that are kind of not really maybe mainstream, as of like Batman's made a bunch of times, you know, Superman. That it'd be cool because it's just something fresh. You know, nobody really likes seeing the same character reprised over and over again, you know, because I think Batman's the only one that you can do it with because his character is so iconic and his villains are probably probably has the best villains that he fights, and the way that they're all thought out of. So yeah, I mean, you can do as much as with him as you possibly can. I mean, I'm excited to see Matt Reeves Batman, and like I think Robert Pattinson's going to do a fantastic job. I absolutely love him as an actor right now. Yeah. I kind of hate that he's got like the Twilight guy branded on him right now, because he's done so many other movies that are way beyond that range, and you know, he's a completely different actor now where he can do these things and make you feel that way. And I mean, I'm all in for that.
Physicality is tough to have the physical screen presence, but then also have the chops as an actor. It's like one of those things, like one of those outlier things, like 10,000 hours, where you have these guys that have spent hours and hours in the gym, but then you have these other guys that have spent hours and hours acting, and it's pretty hard when you can get both that kind of work. And to kind of go off of like what you're just saying about The Rock, we've had Dave Bautista, we've had Jason Momoa, we have Vin Diesel.
We have John Cena too. John Cena is going to be in the new Suicide Squad.
You're right. I think
I'm excited for it because I like James Gunn.
Yeah, that'll be a fun movie, and it'll be way better than it's already better than the first Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to me, The Rock is this generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and
Sylvester Stallone, Arnold.
Yeah, for sure. I'm waiting for his like Terminator. I'm waiting for like on the spot right now, and especially if you guys are okay on time. What's your favorite film from The Rock?
You know what? I really enjoyed The Rundown,
dude,
with him and Sean William Scott.
2003. Go on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie because he like in the movie he like wants to have like a restaurant and like be a cook, but like he's got to do these shitty things to get enough money. It's like that first sequence we see him beat up all the football players, and then like he goes off to the jungle, and like it's also got a great cast too. Like Rosario Dawson is awesome in it. Christopher Walken's cool in it too, so like there's like he's got good supporters around him. But I think that and like what was the other one? Walking Tall with him. I think him and Johnny Knoxville were in that one.
Yeah, that was good.
You just named off my two favorite films with The Rock.
Yeah, like I think those were like the best ones, at least for me, because now I think he's just so washed as that. And like the same thing really happened to Arnold too, but I mean Arnold had so many classics and so many good ones that like he's just the tops.
Well, everyone goes through this phase where, especially when you're the physical presence, where The Rock did his Disney thing, Arnold did his Disney thing. You get films like the Tooth Fairy one with The Rock, or and you get
Game Plan.
You're the man. You're the man.
You're the man. Yeah.
And then you get Vin Diesel does like The Pacifier. Arnold does Kindergarten Cop. So they all try to do this like macho thing, but go full circle. And then since you brought up The Rundown, also in that film, in the club scene, Arnold walks by The Rock and he goes, "Have fun." And that's supposed to be like the passing of the torch. It's like it's your turn. My argument to The Rock is, what do you want to be remembered as like an actor? And as far as pop culture goes, is it Scorpion King? Is it Jumanji? So I'm really looking forward to Black Adam, and I think
he was great and Be Cool too. Also.
Oh, you're right. You would, Luke.
He's fun in that.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, it's a sequel to Get Shorty.
Have you seen Get Shorty, Hunter?
I haven't seen the full thing. I've only seen it in parts.
Yeah,
those are fun movies.
Movies about the making of movies too is cool. They touch on it really well with like producers and the studio life. But anyway, that's my little rant on like the it's hard to have the physicality and the performance, the acting chops. It's hard to get both together.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything you guys want to like touch on and bring up about Justice League before we boogie?
I'm just super stoked that Snyder was able to bring his vision to the table in the exact way that he wanted to. What happened was absolutely tragic, and it was very heartbreaking that it happened, that had happened, and then that he had gotten taken off the movie. Because like you had said, like that vision was his, and to be taken away from that is all. I feel like to him was not as severe, but was very, very close to losing a family member. Where it's like this is my baby. Like I've been taking care of this baby for years. I've had this idea for years. And then now I have this other traumatic event that I had to take care of. So the both of them together, like, I feel like it could have easily been the term for the absolute worst for Snyder's film career, where he just, didn't want to make movies anymore, or, goes a different route because he's so torn inside with losing both of these, his physical relative and then just like this baby of his in the movie. So to be able to see him like come back, and the fans just absolutely backed him to the fullest, which I really dig. I'm not the biggest fan of all the stuff that he's done, I mean, I love Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead was super rad. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it was like on a bootleg DVD, and I was just like, the scene where like the little daughter turns into a zombie is just like, it burns in my head, because like when she runs to the bathroom, now every time I go to the bathroom, I always look like, oh, is there a little window I could crawl out if something happens, you know?
Yeah.
So like I'm really stoked that he was able to complete this film in this vision, and the fact that it's 4 hours, like I don't really care. I love long movies, you know, like I love anything like who did The Master, or like Paul Thomas Anderson. Almost all of his movies are like 2 hours 45 minutes anyways, which is probably like the max that like the studio will allow him to do. I could watch his movies forever. Like There Will Be Blood, like I could watch that movie, and like I just wish, even though the ending is so perfect, where he just, you know, he wins at the end, even though you don't want him to.
There will be blood.
Yeah, like it's so good. I could watch that over and over again. So if a movie can keep me involved and have the emotions that I feel throughout the entire time, and it's that long, I'm kind of thinking of like other long movies like King Kong. When I saw that in theaters, I was really stoked. Well, with Jack Black, you know, I really like that one. Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck, like that was another. It's funny because I'm thinking about it now. Those were like the two movies of like the discs that I had that had to be on two separate discs because they were so long. And I was like, oh shit, like this is done. Now I got to put in disc 2, and it's like, shit, how long is this movie? But if they can keep me in that world, and then have me satisfied, like I'm in it forever, you know.
Word. I would just end it with saying that from a novice, you know, not as deep of a film watcher palette as you guys, I just had a great time with the movie. I didn't think it was too long. I think it was the perfect storm, like a great time for it to come out, you know what I mean? And the way it happened, and with the lack of blockbuster films being released right now or made, it was just like a perfect storm for this movie. And as an artist, like the director is for this film, it was rad to see him to be able to come back, get paid, and rework his vision. And I just loved it. I'll probably watch it again. It's a long movie, but I'll probably dig in again, especially after like breaking it down, discussing it with you guys. It'll give me even another layer of appreciation to kind of watch it one more time, at least, if not multiple.
I Hunter, you said so many things that just triggered random stuff when I was hearing it earlier. I really like Dawn of the Dead and his use of music, and I look forward to, I kind of want him to nail that again a little better. Like in Dawn of the Dead, the movie starts with Johnny Cash, The Man Comes Around.
Yeah, it's so perfect.
And then in the ending of the film, it's Jim Carroll, Those Are People Who Died. And so like, I just wanted, I don't know, with Zack Snyder, I want him to go back to like his roots of like maybe a little more popular music or whatever it is, and not so specific or random. I don't know, but that's a personal preference. And then just to add on to what both you boys were saying, you know, ultimate redemption story, just doesn't get any better than that. If his life was structured like a film, what a movie, you know, and what a story to tell. And there'll be a book on this, or it'll be hard to recreate in a film form, but like this is a really epic historical film that came out, you know, and there's nothing like it, and this is a game changer. We have shows like Queen's Gambit or Tiger King that are structured like these. There's TV shows and there's TV series that are kind of structured like a long movie, and I think people are gonna enjoy this and want more of this. And before, you look at a movie theater and they don't want their movies to be 3 hours long. They want it to be 2 hours so they can get extra show times in during the day. And so if that's not an issue anymore and people just want to see the best product from the filmmaker, I think it's a win-win. I think it's very beneficial. And really glad that I got to talk with this about you two guys. I was like, this is very cool for me, man. Thank you guys so much for your time and being open-minded to this. And Hunter, I know you love films, but Luke, I know you're always up for the challenge, and you're a yes man because you're very PMA, dude. And I'm just very lucky to know you guys and to have you involved in this today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me.
I'm stoked to be able to be here and just talk movies, and then to obviously to have Luke. For those who don't know, I've known Luke my entire life. I grew up seeing him and my Uncle Brian, and it's just to be able to have the relationship that we have now. It's it's absolutely, I love it. I mean, he gave me my first tattoo. He's always been there. Anytime that I've ever had to like talk to somebody and I couldn't go to like somebody like my uncle or like my Uncle Brian or my dad or my brother, like Luke is very much so that person that I can rely on to give me good advice, because I trust him and I know he's going to tell me the right things and he's going to lead me down a path that is the right way. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited that he introduced me to you too, as we talked about in the first podcast. You know, like if you weren't getting tattooed that day, like I don't know if like I would never have really met you. And then even back to Luke, to be able to allow me to watch you do what you do is absolutely fantastic. You guys are both such amazing artists. You know, I love being in your guys' presence because I just feed off it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel the same way about you, man. It's been awesome to be involved in your life still, you know, for this many years. What an honor, what a pleasure. And anytime you guys need an amateur film review, I'm your guy.
No way.
Very cool. Before I go, anything you guys would like to kind of plug or promote that I can leave in the description down below for this episode?
Yeah, there's this movie coming out called Filthy Animals, and keep your eye out for it. Cool. It's going to be amazing.
Cool.
A couple great characters in it.
Cool. Very cool. And then Luke, also, I will leave your personal website. I'll leave your Instagram. There's a lot of artwork on Luke's website, and also if you're interested in any of his work for tattoos, to email him. Even though you're a busy guy, a busy fellow. And then Hunter, I'll leave a Violent Gentleman link down below in the description. Shout out to Violent Gentleman. Is there anything else?
I think that's it. I mean, the only thing I don't want to ask any other questions because it's just going to dive down into you know, a whole different thing. You know how we get. Like, I'm excited for movies to be able to, more movies coming out. I'm excited that the theaters are opening back up. I'll probably get back in there today to watch Minari or The Father, hopefully, and you know, dive back into being able to go to the theater. I've really missed that. It's funny, me and my girlfriend were talking about last night how like we haven't really gone anywhere, and it's like, well, nobody's really gone anywhere in the past year, you know. So the fact that things are being able to start opening up, I'm there, you know. And it's funny because like I saw a picture of Christopher Nolan. He was like first in line at like at AMC or whatever to go to the movies, and I'm like, that's my guy right there. Yeah. He just loves movies, and like I'm a little bummed that like Warner Brothers like is kind of doing the opposite of what he wants, and he doesn't really back like their tactic of putting all of their movies on HBO, because I'm not that big of a fan of like the whole streaming process, because I just going to the theaters is a completely different environment and you get a completely different feel than you do from being at home. So I love that part of movies, is be able to see it with the full surround sound on the big screen, you know, and then just take it all in. I mean, I'm sure as you guys, I'm the kind of guy to go see a movie that I've seen 1,000 times, but if it's in the theaters, I'm gonna go see it 1,001 times in the theaters, you know, because like movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Shining, seeing those in theaters that what I couldn't have when they originally came out is amazing, and I would do it 100 times over. So I'm excited that movies are be able to come back, and hopefully we see a lot of good stories be released. I'm stoked.
I come from a place of a movie theater is church. That's my church. And I think every day it becomes harder and harder for the new generation, and even some adults, some older than me, some my age, to detach from the cell phone. And there's not a lot of things anymore. If you're going to go swimming or surfing, or you know, you get a tattoo, or you go to a movie theater, you need to put the phone away. And we're becoming more and more programmed where, you know, we get a ding and our eyes go to our phone. And I just think it's very sacred. We're supposed to go to the movie theaters. We're supposed to have activities where we detach from life and whatever's going on and get lost in storytelling. And even if movie theaters get bad and COVID gets out of hand, etc., I always think we will have the movie theater. I think it may turn into a thing of like the old school theater approach, like the opera, you know, where you go and it's an event, you rent the theater, whatever the case is. I just think there's always going to be a need for this. But I do think there's something to be said about, we need more things to put people in situations where they're stepping away from their phone for a couple hours, and it doesn't include them sleeping or taking a nap, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's gotten to the point where it's just, everything's just the world is too comfortable. And my brother's got, a banner, and it's like, it's literally my only bio on Instagram, where it's just, comfort is a slow death. So whenever you can come to a point where you can step out of that and be somewhere, do it, because it's only going to make you better, and it's only going to help you out more in the long run. So I agree, man. Like, especially like a lot of people my age, we're so like my age and then younger, are just so glued to the phones, because you just, you want that quick hit of just endorphins just rushing through your body where you get stimulated. I'm the type of person that I would rather be stimulated through a 2.5-hour process of watching something that makes me feel a certain way, and when I can walk away and have a perspective on something that I might have not have had a thought about it previously. So I absolutely love that part of the storytelling, and just, being able to put your art out there is great. It's one of the reasons why I fell in love with tattoos as well too, because just walking around and having somebody else's art on you that I loved it so much that I'm going to wear this for the rest of my life. I love that fact of it, because it just makes it so much cooler. And then you're also, you're part of just that kind of club where like you see somebody else and it's like, okay, like we have things in common that we can talk about and like break barriers, really, where you might have looked at somebody and not have thought that previously. So anything that can, really bring people together and to have a positive mindset on things is what I'm really into. So I'm hoping that, we can have more of that through movies and art in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said, man.
Cool. Really cool. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time today. Yeah, I look forward to doing this again with you guys soon. If there's a movie that comes up you guys feel like you want to chat about, just hit me up, let me know. And again, it was an honor. It was really fun to do this today.
Sick. Yeah, thank you. The only thing I can think of right now that I know I'm going to want to talk to you about is Mortal Kombat. Just because I love Mortal Kombat. I love I'm just a huge fan. I play the games a little bit, but the movies, the first two original, were just such staples of my childhood that I'm super excited and to see them redo that, because there's been a lot of talk. There was like a fan made short or Mortal Kombat that me and my brother had watched on YouTube a bunch of times, and we were like, oh, like this is going to be it. They're going to do this movie, and it never came to fruition. So the fact that we'll be able to see it again, I'm stoked for.
I know we are saying bye, and I'm blaming Hunter for triggering things in my brain. What are your guys' predictions for King Kong versus Godzilla? Who's winning?
And I think what I think's gonna go on is that I feel like Godzilla is gonna beat King Kong, but then they're gonna release the meta Godzilla, and then Godzilla and King Kong are gonna have to unite and fight this new threat. I feel like vice versa, who wins? I think that's gonna be the total conclusion, is that they're gonna have to come together to fight the meta Godzilla, then at the end, one of them is at least one of them's gonna have to die. I wouldn't be surprised if it was King Kong, because I feel like Godzilla, there's so many more. Even though they've done the movies already, there's a lot of battles that he's gone through, and there's so many Godzilla movies and villains of his that they could possibly run off on. So I mean, we'll see though.
Yeah, I think Godzilla is going to take it, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm going King Kong. I'm going King Kong. Yeah. I've always loved the 1933 King Kong, and that image of for like potential tattoo plug right here. Like right here, I think I've always kind of think it would look really sick, is when King Kong's holding the woman in the plane.
Oh, I love it.
Side view.
Oh man. It'd be a great tat.
Okay, cool, man. We'll get okay. We're getting the hell out of here. I really appreciate you boys. Thank you so much for your time on this. Is like a big one for me. I'm very happy about this. Okay.
Honored to be there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again for having me. And then Luke, great to see you too.
Yeah. See you later, bro.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Peace.
Animals. Bye. Bye, Luke. Bye, dude.
I don't know how to sign out. Can't leave. Okay, it's 4 more hours. This is the North Cut.
You know what?
4 more hours.
You know what I wanted to say at the end is, we didn't record. Should we just do it again? Should we just go right back into it?